that the Lord even loves Neil Rogers.
My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours. My beliefs are what's required to avoid a lake of fire. My religion's better than yours.
My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours. While my religion advocates bigotry and racial hate, my religion's better than yours.
Absolutely.
My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours. What we like about it best, I fondle boys and wear a dress. My religion's better than yours. My religion's better than your religion. My religion's much better than yours. We have no respect for women. Drive a cab to make a living. My religion's better than yours. My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours. Chupacabra, spooky ghosts, we slaughter pigs and dogs and goats. My religion's better than yours. My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours. Yeah, we wear beanies and pigtails and never ever pay retail. My religion's better than yours. My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours. I'm dying out here. Knock on doors to bother you like full of brush to steal our views. My religion's better than yours. Oi!
My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours. We wear ties and ride our bikes and get to marry lots of wives. My religion's better than yours.
My religion's better than your religion. My religion's better than yours.
Oh!
We don't want to use our brains. We're mindless living on parade. My religion's better than yours.
All right, some of that good old time religion. Let's see who we're going to kill today. 10:41, 19 before 11. Let's go to Chop Chop Square and do a remote. What do you say?
All right.
Let's hear it for the Mad Dog.
All right.
Wow, that's quite a story Barry Jackass has in the Herald this morning, which we'll get to momentarily. For those of you who are smart enough not to read the Herald. I guess our program director and operations manager, neither one of them read the Herald because they were both like clueless, more so than usual this morning when they came in for their cameo appearances. Pretty sad. Oh, I didn't get to see that. What? And like I told Clarence, man, you guys are such a pair of liars, it's unbelievable. He kind of admitted it, didn't he?
No.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He didn't?
He said a little bit.
He said if it grows any longer, it's going to be embarrassing, and his nose, too. 1,781 votes on yesterday's poll. Do you support the ballot initiative that would allow slot machines,
oh, my God,
at Dayton Borough Paramutuals? A little life injected in South Florida, like maybe something living and breathing, huh? What do you say? And the audience said, sure, no problem, why not? 1,781 undervotes. Yes, we need the money for education, which is where it's slated to go. 838, 47% on that one. Yes, it would be great for tourism. Another 567, 31.8%. That's 78.8% of this astute, fun and go to hell audience, man. That's where we're gonna be all seeing that lake of fire. And we'll have a great time. Maybe we'll have a cookout. Bring the marshmallows. So that's 78, almost 79%. I have no clue. 161. That's 9%. Just goofballs who don't know what anything's all about. They don't get out of the house too much. No, we have enough gambling already. 149, 8.3%. And no, gambling is evil. 66, 3.7%. 66, gambling is evil. It'd be bad. And let's go down to 7-Eleven and buy some lotto tickets. What do you say? Let's get that lottery going. The biggest sucker bet that ever came down the pike, and heartily and enthusiastically supported by both the Herald and the Sun Sentinel, by the way, who are just deaf on any form of casino gambling because, the lottery, it extracts the money very casually from your wallet.
Right, lightly lifted.
Right. They rob you lightly as opposed to those casinos that you just keep pouring it in there and plunging your guts out until the bells start ringing and you win like $5,000. Legendary filmmaker Russ Meyer is dead. Oh, boy, that's bad news. Now, we probably have some punks out there who don't know who Russ Meyer is, which is really sad because you're really missing out.
Right.
Russ Meyer, who helped spawn the skin flick with such films as Faster, Pussycat, Kill, Kill, and Vixen Has Died, he was 82. Meyer died Saturday at his home, but the good news takes a little while to get down the pike. Meyer died Saturday at his home in the Hollywood Hills, California, according to his company, RM Films, Inc. Spokeswoman Janice Cowart said Meyer had suffered from dementia and died of complications of pneumonia. He suffered from dementia. Well, that was nothing new with him, I don't think.
I think
he had that cooking for a long time. Meyer's films were considered pornographic in their time, but are less shocking by today's standards, with their focus on violence and large-busted women,
All right.
but little graphic sex. Although he produced, directed, financed, wrote, edited, shot at least 23 films, including his debut, The Immoral Mr. Tease, in 1959, and the 1968 film Vixen, whose success earned him notice from major studios. He went on to direct the major studio release Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which is co-written by film critic Roger Ebert, that queen. In a 1996 interview with the AP, Meyer described his films as passion plays, beauty against something that's totally evil. Meyer was unapologetic for his movies, arguing the on-screen female nudity put customers in theater seats. He maintained that women liked the films. The girls kicked the hell out of the guys, he said. I've always played well at the Ivy League, Cornell, Dartmouth. I never encountered a berating woman. Meyer's work made him rich, earned him critical acclaim. He was honored at international film festivals. His movies were discussed in college courses. His work was shown at top museums. His 1966 classic, Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, about three hip go-go girl club dancers who go on a vengeful murder spree against the men who did them wrong, still makes the art house rounds. The film is not derogatory to women, Meyer said. There were 3 tough cookies to deal with. Besides, they get what's coming. He married 3 times. His studio said he left no survivors. That's the best way. Leave no survivors.
Right.
Just spend every dime you got and then go kind of like into a state of dementia, like Florida, for example. Go like that and then just croak, and that's it. Nice going there, Russ. Vanessa L. Williams is on our website today. On Behind the Beaded Curtain, when John Ashcroft is taking a jaundiced view of things, looking down at that totally nude view, I think he's enjoying it. We'll come right down to it. He's probably got the biggest collection of porno ever on the face of the earth, just like the Catholic Church. You know what? A bunch of hypocrites.
Right.
They're always decrying and denying, and yet it's well known that the Vatican has the largest collection of pornography anywhere in the universe.
Right, for research purposes.
Of course. Well, the Pope's got to do something to kill that time, yes?
Not to interrupt, but before I forget, just become aware of possibly the most politically active, politically correct website that I've encountered lately, second only to NeilRogers.com.
Yes?
NoMoreBushGirls.com.
Really?
Yeah. That's patriotic. You'll want to stand up and salute.
I'll be damned. Now, is this something pornographic?
Yeah.
Well, good. Excellent. In fact, we probably ought to put a link to it on our Behind the
Beaded
Curtain thing. Okay, in the meantime, Vanessa L. Williams, not to be confused with any other Vanessa Williams. This one, of course, let's see, born March 18th, 1963 in the Bronx, which makes her 41. Right? 41.
Okay.
Johnson Family Vacation 2004, and guess who she played in that movie?
Herself?
Right. Keep the Faith Baby, TV movie, WW3, 2001, Divas Christmas Carol, Shaft, Don Quixote, Courage to Love, Light It Up, Adventures of Elmo in Grouchland, Future Sport, Dance With Me, Soul Food, Hoodlum, The Odyssey, Eraser, Bye Bye Birdie, made for TV, Nothing Lasts Forever, Score with Chicks. You know who was in Bye Bye Birdie? Paul Lynde, I believe, wasn't he?
No.
Or was it one of them?
I don't know.
Jackson's An American Dream, An American Nightmare, Stomping at the Savoy, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, and it goes on, a whole bunch of stuff. There she is, stark naked as a jaybird, Vanessa L. Williams, not to be confused with the many, many other Vanessa Williamses, right? Now, here's the article of the century, and thank you, fat little tub Barry Jackass, okay? Little couch potato Barry Jackass. If we want to know what's going on at WQM, do we ask Greg Reed?
No.
Do we ask Duff Lindsay?
No.
Do we ask Clarence Darrow?
No.
Oh, God forbid. What a joke that would be. Because they'll either pretend they know nothing, or they'll just lie through their teeth. Or both of the above. Barry Jackass writes this morning in the Herald, Mandich quits Channel 10 show. And by the way, I guess he talked about this for 2 hours yesterday on his entire show. Before we get to that, the most important part of this story, which may be a little unknown information up until now, is about the humper. Maybe a little light at the end of the tunnel for the fat humper, and for the rest of us, too, who are praying. Just praying. Just like the grasshopper and the praying mattress, we're rubbing our hind legs together, just praying that he comes back and we get things all straightened out there. And that mo goes out into the bull pen. If anybody's got the bull, it's the mo man. WQAM General Manager Greg Reed said he will meet this week with talk show host Hank Goldberg. The first thing Hank is going to say to Greg is,
Hey, stupid!
Their first contact since Goldberg was suspended August 3rd for comments about Marlins owner Jeffrey Loria's marital situation. Although Reed declined to say if Goldberg will return, he could be on the air back soon if the meeting goes well. Dolphins announcer Howard David continues filling in for Goldberg, including this afternoon at 4, right after the Mad Dog. Now, speaking of the Mad Dog, he is the man. You know what? This story here is exactly why people from coast to coast, from pillar to post, respect, admire, and covet his goods. WQAM talk show host and Dolphins analyst Jim Mandich quit his part-time gig as a Channel 10 commentator yesterday after a disagreement with station management about, no joke, what kind of beer he drinks. Mandich said he received a call earlier in the day from news director Bill Pahovy at Channel 10. According to Mandich, officials from Presidente, the sponsor of Channel 10's Monday edition of Sports Jam Live, were offended that Mandich was drinking Heineken's at Shula Steak 2 after Monday's show ended.
Heineken?
The program originates from that restaurant. Now, again, that's the part that really gets me. In other words, it wasn't that he was drinking it on the air. He was drinking it after the show ended. Mandich said he told Pahovy, you tell those guys from Presidente to kiss my ass. Mandich said he was so angry with Pahovy's call that he says, you could have fried an egg on my face. I told him, I think your show stinks, although I think he probably said sucks. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. Is there any part of that message you don't understand? That is the Mad Dog.
All right.
Right there. That sentence right there, that is definitive, right? That's him.
That's him.
Pahovy said he told Mandich, I'm not going to tell you what kind of beer to drink, but if we could appease a client, that would be a professional thing to do. Added Channel 10 General Mangler David Boylan, you don't put on a Jets jersey in the Dolphin locker room. To the Presidente people, Shula Steak 2 is the locker room. Heineken had the first right of refusal on the show. They opted not to renew. At no time did Presidente demand Jim Mandich drink their beer. Boylan said he would like Mandich to stay with Channel 10. I have the highest regard for Jim. He says, I would like to keep him as part of the show. I also respect Presidente's wishes. It seems a little bit of immaturity going on here. I regret Jim's response would be to walk. Well, that's because he's got a big pair, and he isn't going to take any crap from anybody, any beer company, any little flunky program director or news director, anybody. And that's our Mad Dog, which is why he's loved and famous from coast to coast, like I said, right? He's a man. Nice going there, Mad Dog. Now, and let's get to today's poll now, okay, before we do anything else. Okay. I think this is one of my most masterful polls of all time, and what fantastic timing, too. Nice going, Neil. Thank you. Today's poll on neilrogers.com, when you're through viewing Vanessa Williams at length, who's gotten screwed worst at WQAM? Now, we could have put some other names on here if we'd said who'd gotten screwed most at QAM, but
that's another poll.
That's another poll, yeah. We're holding that poll for later on, so to speak. So screw Ang, you didn't make this one. Who's gotten screwed worst at WQAM? We got a nice list of 10 here. Hank Goldberg, Joe Rose, Jeff Defo DeForest, Neil Rogers, Mo Howard Davided, Joe and Mark, Joe Zagacki, Bill Zimfer, George Rodriguez, or Miguel Escobar. Now, Miguel's not going to get many votes because most people don't know him other than occasionally he's sitting in there and making a few comments about Cuba in the background, and of course ripped off most of my baseball tickets this season. But the bottom line is that Miguel considers himself to have been screwed over because he's been lied to almost as many times as the rest of us. Remember that when Doreen was chasing him all around the building, the unctuous Doreen the Queen? Who we used to be the promotions director, then they made Miguel promotions director when she finally got canned. And supposed to give him more money. I don't know if he ever did get them more money, did he?
Yes.
Eventually he did.
That did happen.
But they sure strung him along and hung him out to dry and all that stuff. Bad news again, Dale, California. Comedian Rodney Dangerfield slipped into a coma while recovering from heart surgery in recent weeks, but is starting to show signs of awareness, his wife Joan said yesterday. The 82-year-old performer, who was reported by a spokesman to have been hooked to a respirator in intensive care since undergoing a heart valve replacement August 25, was able to breathe on his own for the past 24 hours. Dangerfield fell into a light coma a couple of weeks ago, but after recent visits from his family and close friends, Rodney is starting to show signs of awareness, and we're all hopeful that he'll regain full consciousness soon, she said in a statement issued through his publicist, Kevin Sasaki. We're hoping that he'll regain full consciousness. Kind of like matter of fact, you know who's going to come back?
I just wasn't conscious.
I think maybe when Wadstat gets fired another week or so, I think maybe the Shoesmeister might come back. What do you think?
I don't.
The brainstem. She said Dangerfield remains in stable condition overall and that our family remains optimistic that Rodney will make a complete recovery. You do remember the day that, speaking of Shula Steak 2, that Hank was interviewing the brainstem, Don Shula, out there at 2 o'clock, back in the day when Hank used to follow this show?
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there talking about Hank is going to have as a special guest today the brainstem. And, of course,
thanks, honey.
Little did I realize that Schuler was sitting there with the headphones on. Of course, he didn't have any clue what I was talking about or who I was anymore. He's
I just wasn't conscious.
The statement appeared to be to conflict in some respects with previous information provided by Sasaki, who said last week that Dangerfield was conscious when friends and fellow entertainers such as Jay Leno, Roseanne, Jim Carrey, and Adam Sandler visited him at the UCLA Medical Center. Dangerfield, famed for his self-deprecating one-liners and the catchphrase, "I can't get no respect," has endured a string of health problems in recent years, and maybe he can't get any good crap either. Maybe no good Schmidt, which is what he wants most. Maybe they got the tube in his throat, you think? Yeah. The bulging-eyed comedian had double bypass surgery in March of 2000, an operation 3 months later to correct an aneurysm, or is that an aneurysm? He also suffered a mild heart attack in November 2001. In other words, he's been in pretty good shape. Last year he underwent a brain bypass operation. I bet you that's what Greg Reed underwent. Now, holy moly, all of a sudden a little light bulb went off in my head. A brain bypass operation. That must be it. To reduce the risk of a stroke during or immediately after his heart valve replacement. Oh, and it was really interesting because by long distance, Muff Lindsay, our operations manager, was taking my temperature again for Greg today. Well, I tell you, that's getting a little bit painful.
Rectum.
That long thermometer that he keeps inserting, you know, getting a little bit much. Duff. When in doubt, I'd pull that baby out. Cat Stevens, boy, I'm going to tell you, we got some very dangerous evildoers out there, and your country is hard at work to make sure that they don't have access to you, man. A London to Washington flight was diverted to Maine yesterday when it was discovered passenger Yusuf Islam, formerly known as singer Cat Stevens, was on a government watch list and barred from entering the country, 2 federal officials said. United Airlines Flight 919 was en route to Dulles International Airport when the match was made between a passenger and a name on the watch list, said Nico Melendez. Oh, Nico Melendez, I think he's on the list too, or at least ought to be.
Watch him.
Probably a beaner. A spokesman for the TSA, the plane was met by federal agents at Maine's Bangor International Airport around 3 p.m., and they were shown on CNN this morning. They're showing that Cat Stevens was sent on his way. Federal officials identified the passenger as Islam. They said he was denied entry on national security grounds, but had no details about why the peace activist might be considered a risk to the U.S. Well, I think that speaks to the volumes right there, right? The peace activist.
That's right.
We don't want nobody like that here.
The Howard Stern Show. Neil Rogers, mornings and middays. And sports around the clock. 560 WQAM.
Bush. The move!
All right. Your vote's automatically calculated by computers at the GOP. Manipulated this time. Don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. The brother governor that's running Florida, no doubt's got another plan to get your vote done. This time don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. Let us in, racist actors in clean white faces, the man got to get in. Let us up, we don't live here. Let us in, clean white preppy men. Then goes Triangle Bush twins, you're the good and Coulter snuggles my loins with gonorrhea. The Jews killed Christ. The Jews killed Christ. Bush is appointed by God. Back, rocket red, see, back, if you're darker than brown, then your vote will get thrown out. Round back, fixing for a hard vote, swinging closet bags. Well, it won't matter who or what you vote like, it's rigged for Bush too. Winning a landslide this time, don't let the fascist neocons screw us again.
I'm dying over here.
You'll be very pleased and relieved to know that we won't have any more hopping and skipping on any of the Boca Brian stuff from the last couple of weeks. It's all in the DCS.
Oh!
As
right.
pristine and clean as the mean old queen.
Did you lick the disc?
Yes, I did. I licked it. Now, Cheryl says, one of our loyal listeners, not to be confused with any other Cheryl, for the poll, and she's got a very good idea. How about Neil's listeners? Let's get that on there right away, Josh Cordis. Neil's listeners. You don't think so? Well, here's the question again. Who's gotten screwed worse at WQM? She says, we're screwed the worst by having to wait and wait and wait till Mr. Ego is through. See, we used to think we had Mr. Ego identified. Now we have a new Mr. Ego. An ego larger than the entire universe. Anyway, join George and Miguel tonight for happy hour 5 to 7 at Treasure Island, located right off the Palmetto, just north of the 122nd Street exit. Isn't Boca Brian going to be there?
No, he's out of town.
Oh, that's right. Stop by to win prizes and check out this week's feature, Stephanie Evans. God only knows what she might do for you, or to you, or on you, or in you.
All of those things.
All of these things. Well, Boca Brian probably is in rehab or something after the last couple of weeks, because he has done some of the greatest work of his lifetime, so...
He's enjoying a free trip.
Probably. To where?
New York.
Really?
Yeah.
He goes to New York a lot.
On someone else's money.
Well, I'll be damned. Maybe you can stay at Al's apartment. Well, that's right. There's a padlock on the door. I forgot.
Yeah.
Buffalo Kenny says, and see, we got some people out there. This is what happens to your mind when you spend too much time in Buffalo, Kenny. He says, yesterday at around 6:06 in the p.m., I heard Mo say something like, about Neil Rogers as the 600-pound gorilla, which is the way Mad Dog always refers to me, and said, does he smell like one? Maybe you could go back on the tape and listen. No, I don't think so, Buffalo Kenny. If that's the best thing we have to do with our time, then it's time for the old Russian roulette with fully loaded pieces, okay? Forget about it. Here, let's go back on the tape and see what Mo said about me. Oh, so many overgrown children in so little time. But we give him a free pass because he's from Buffalo, so what do you want? Huh? You've never been in Buffalo, have you?
No, I can't say I've had the privilege.
Of all the places that I would recommend you stay away, that's near the top of the list. Do not even think about going to Buffalo unless you like wearing white socks and bowl a lot.
No.
Anyway, here's 78 votes on the poll very quickly on our new poll. Who's gotten screwed the worst at QAM? Hank Goldberg, 23. Joe Rose, 14. Bill Zimford, 12. We don't want to forget about the old Zimpmeister. Jeff Defoe DeForest, 11. Joe and Mark, 8. Neil Rogers, 5. George Rodriguez, 3. Mo Howard David, 2. Neil's listeners, none yet. That just went up on there. Miguel and Joe Zagacki, none. Why did I put Joe Zagacki on there? I don't even know why I put him on there. Just a sympathy vote, because we all know...
Joe Zagacki sucks, okay?
Okay. Yeah, we know he's a good guy, but just abortive on the air. We have so many people who are so abortive on the air, like the big...
Oh!
And then, of course, the Crow, which rhymes with...
Oh!
And Mo. Anything that ends in O, I guess, you think? Not to mention Lenny Martez, which doesn't end in O, but he's a good guy, Lenny. He just sucks on the air. He's an abortion. Troy Stratford would like to be on the air, and I think that's a good idea. I like Troy a lot. He's a good guy, and he actually is relatively articulate. For someone of his mocha shade, he's relatively articulate, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he could do a show.
He could do a hell of a lot. He could do a show.
He's qualified. He's an ex-jock, right?
Right. Well, we seem to be moving away from that unless we get the Humper back on before the end. I say get him on there before the third week of the NFL season this weekend, okay? That's my suggestion. Now, I don't want to stick my nose into other people's business, but get his ass back on there, okay, you schmuck? Man. Like a bunch of kids in a sandbox. Jim in Pembroke Pines says, with Halloween upcoming, although Jim is a little bit precipitous here, what well-known person would make the best Halloween mask? And he's got 4 suggestions. It's no contest. He's got Dan Deardorff, Hank Goldberg, Jim Mandich, and John Kerry. We sure ought to have GW on there as well.
Sure.
But John Kerry already has I hate to say this.
Yeah, well, it's true.
But it's true. He has the mask of death over his face. Right. He looks like, I'm serious. It's just he can't help it. No. Maybe a little bit better makeup. Maybe a little bit of color would help. Do you know what I'm saying?
What color?
Like tan would be good. Like maybe some of that tan that you smear on, you know? That would be a really good idea. Or maybe spending some time in Florida if we ever stop having hurricanes.
Is he here now?
Huh?
He's supposed to be here
He was yesterday, I know that. Is he still there?
I don't know.
Get him out in the sun. Get him a little bit of color in his face because he looks... It's definitely not the kind of color in his face, the complexion that inspires confidence in anything. Of course, he doesn't have the deer in the headlights look like some nitwit we know. And that's the word, nitwit. That's your president, baby, nitwit. You're presidente. Well, I shouldn't have said that. The people at Channel 10 will get all bent out of shape, think I'm picking on them again. And I am. I mean, the chutzpah of anybody telling a guy what beer he ought to be drinking after the show is over, that's unbelievable. In addition to which, people would go, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to say it.
Yeah, because they're all sponsors on this station.
You drink whatever beer you like, okay? Just, if you got them, bottoms up. We ought to get a couple of calls in here because just like yesterday, and we have almost a full show today. Well, I mean, as of late. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they got off at about 20 of. So we got a full 3 hours and 20 minutes today, in spite of what Cheryl says. Hey, listen, Cheryl, you got a good point, but we like it. In spite of my rantings last Friday. The more we like it, in fact, Monday really turned my ass around fast. That hour and 50-minute show that we had, that was my idea of a show, man. That was sensational. You got Stern going real extra long, and then you got the ball game early at 12:30. Marlins will not make the wild card, looks like. That's what Josh Cordes reported yesterday. I think he was right on top of it. It doesn't look like they got a Chinaman's chance in hell because they're 5.5 back. They only got 12 games to play. Giants pounded Houston last night. So it's not looking too good, is it, Josh?
No, they're done.
Now, I watched a little bit of the game last night only because I wanted to see the sign. They have that changeable sign behind home plate. And there is a thing for Amendment 4, which is not the one we were talking about with the casino. That's Prop 4, I guess, the slot machines at the Pure Mutuals. And it comes on there so fast, and it's got a website, and I don't know what the hell it is, you know. And I'm sure that none of the 50 fans who were in attendance last night. Now, I looked at the box score this morning, and it said there were 15,000 and some odd at the ballpark last night. They must have been counting janitors, cockroaches, mosquitoes, the hired hands, everybody, because if there were 15,000 people, they must have all been sitting on each other's lap. How many would you say were there last night?
10, maybe.
10 people. Maybe 10 people at the ballpark last night. And again, why? They didn't give away any floppy hats. They didn't give away any bobblehead dolls. You know, you folks think that you're fooling somebody, and maybe you are somewhere. Oh, and guess who else was on CBC last night, eh? Gary Bettman. Boy, I'd like to step on him. He just is such a little weasel, man. Just a little twerp. A needle-nosed twerp. But at any rate, you phony fans out there, well, they're giving stuff away free. $37,000 the day before for the Cub doubleheader. Of course, that's for both games, but nevertheless, that's pretty impressive. But they were giving away the floppy hats. Now, let me just put it to you this way. George is a schlepper who's got one unwanted kid and a pain-in-the-ass wife. But, you know, even as much as he couldn't care less, he could probably use a floppy hat.
Sure.
But he's not interested, so he doesn't pretend to be a fan, so he doesn't go out there to get the floppy hat. Even though he could get free tickets to go out there and still scam his floppy hat, he don't go out there.
And scalp it.
You people are just shameless, man. Shameless. Anything for free, that's what it's all about. You can't complain about the fans in South Florida, because generally speaking, there aren't any. There are so few. Maybe
about 30, man.
But I think I'm exaggerating. You notice the tremendous flap about the Panther season being canceled? And let me say it again, the odds makers are saying...
There are riots, you know.
They're rioting in the streets. They're so whipped up into a frenzy about the canceling of the Panther season.
Right. Blocking traffic.
Beautiful Macarena that we built for Wayne, who, of course, since sold the team, and is, he's busy. He's got bigger fish to fry. And believe me, they are frying and they're dying over there, them fish. Notice how most of the teams in town, that's why the Panthers aren't quite as popular. Or the Heat. Forget about the Heat, even though we got... Because it's got to be named after a fish. Mm-hmm. The Marlins, the Dolphins. Speaking of fish, my comment to Wayne is, hey, perch, Baldy. Perch on this. Chimpanzee. 567-0560, pound 560 on the Verizon and Singular wireless lines. That's pretty exciting news that the Humper may be coming back soon. Wouldn't that be great?
It would be.
It would be sensational from where I'm sitting on my fat ass. WQAM, hello. Okay, like I said, we better get a couple of calls in quick, because I don't want to be accused of, knocking the calls off this show again and just reading bedtime stories, even though we got a huge pile on here. I got such huge piles, I might enter Stern's contest on Friday for the world's biggest hemorrhoid, although Joyce probably wouldn't approve. She'd probably have to inspect it first, after Duck took my temperature. WQAM, hello.
Hi, Neil. How are you?
Pretty good, sir.
Good. I got two people for your poll you left off. One guy and one girl that probably nobody's even thought of. Roy Foster being number one.
Roy!
He got screwed?
Exactly. And the girl is Juan Lip.
Okay, great. 567-0560. And pound 560, pound him if you got him.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
Goodbye, Teresa Laporte. Won't see you no more. We can count on Lucky Chad, but you don't got no job no more. So pack your desk and mosey out the door. You stupid, skanky whore. Go treat your yeast infection. I don't think I gotta mention we had enough elections lost by you. You narrow, stupid pasculians.
You're all done screwing us now, so get the hell out of town. You're not welcome in Florida. Get the guy. And Pat Buchanan, he wouldn't touch you with Dick Cheney's thing. Now there's one less county to rig for the neocons. Get lost, you stupid bitch. Go find something else to do. Like mass and guild, you smelly Jew.
Oh, we certainly can't say Massigal douche, can we? That would be bad. It's 11:17 at 560 WQAM. This whole business about what we can say and what we can't say. I think that somebody needs to draw the line in the sand pretty soon. You know, somebody needs to put their foot down.
Let's get Mandich.
Although it is pretty close to payday something, and yeah, well, of course, we know what he would say. He'd probably consult with El Presidente first. 567. I don't think we have any calls today, so I don't have to feel so guilty about, because after that first attempt or two, they just are going to sit lay back, do you think?
Apparently.
Because generally speaking, I feel like I'm letting them down, because, oh, gee, you're just reading all them bedtime stories, they're getting too newsy again. Yeah, that's right. Less than 6 weeks till the presidential election, the balance, the future of the universe is hanging in a balance, and these people are worried about who the hell Jerry Springer's got on today. That's what they're worried about. And his Big Brother 5 going to be out again next week. I'm telling you, the swill that they put on is just unbelievable. Speaking of swill, I got a great article that's on our website. It's called Swift Boat Swill, written by Nicholas Terse from the Village Voice. Much too long to read on the air, I think. It's like 6 pages long. But it's on our website, or at least it will be tomorrow, or whenever. I already emailed it to Eric. Also emailed Eric. Norma Kent just emailed to me the most unbelievable pictures of Georgia Bush, our new female president. You got to see him to believe him. At any rate, Swift Boat Swill, and the essence of this is, from the National Archives, new proof of Vietnam War atrocities, the fact that John Kerry was absolutely correct when he came back from Vietnam and said all of those things. Proof that, yada, yada, yada. So there it is. It goes on forever. But, I mean, this is only for people who are too young to remember the atrocities that were committed, the My Lai massacre, all of these things that went on for years and years. People who had no clue of what Vietnam was all about, which is most of the public, because they either have a short memory or they're young punks or they have no clue what's going on in the world, all of these things. Am I right?
All of these things.
Right. WQAM, hello.
Neil God.
Yes, sir. Speaking.
How's everything going?
Great.
A little bit off the subject, but you have one guy that does some drops. He does the 9 for you, and.
Oh, he doesn't do a drop. That's just the way he speaks. He speaks with a quaggle because he's retarded.
Well, listen, I heard that Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys is coming to town up in West Palm, so I'm thinking maybe if you can get him to do some, publicity pieces for it, it's a match made in purgatory.
Or he could just be our new general manager.
There you go.
Okay, thanks, pal. Pretty weak. See, I told you they had no material today. That was about as weak as it gets. That was about as lame as a horse that just fell on both knees, man. That was pretty lame. Lawyer says Miami Archdiocese to settle sex abuse cases for $3.4 million. What a paltry sum to pay for having your life twisted and turned by a bunch of child-molesting priests. The Archdiocese of Miami has agreed to pay $3.4 million to settle almost 24 lawsuits brought since 2002 by people who accused Catholic priests of sexually abusing them, their lawyer said. The settlement agreements range from $75,000 to $500,000 and conclude all 23 negligence lawsuits brought by attorney Jeffrey Herman. He represented more than half of the about 40 former altar boys and other youths who sued the Archdiocese after the nation's church abuse scandal broke in 2002, which, of course, nobody's talking about anymore because they had their 15 seconds of fame and hysteria, and now we got bigger fish to fry than that. So they put it on the back burner. They figured the coast would clear, the dust would settle, and they were right. His cases implicated 10 South Florida priests who were put on administrative leave or resigned. The settlements are long overdue. Validation and vindication for the victims, Herman said yesterday. The settlements were not an admission of guilt, Archdiocese spokeswoman Mary Ross Agosta said. What it does do is bring to conclusion these events so that the church can continue to move on in a financially responsible way, and the alleged victims can continue with their healing, Augusta said. Well, if they're only alleged victims, what do they need to heal for, right?
Right.
I mean, you talk about an idiotic statement. The alleged victims can continue with their healing. You lying bitch. She said that Archbishop John C. Favalora had not decided the fate of priests on administrative leave. The Reverends Alvaro Guichard, Ricardo Castellanos, and Joseph Sinisi were among the priests accused of abusing boys. Castellanos, Guichard, and Sinisi, all on administrative leave, have denied the accusations. I'm suffering from character assassinations, Guichard said Tuesday. These are all lies to get money from the Archdiocese. Castellanos, through a representative, said the settlement was done without consulting me, and I was totally opposed to it. The family of Miguel Chinchilla, that's what it is. A former altar boy at the Church of the Little Flower in Coral Gables was the first to sue the Archdiocese, the Church of the Little Deflowered. They alleged the church leaders knew that Castellanos and Guichard sexually abused Miguel as a boy in the mid-'70s. Miguel died of AIDS in 1993. My family believes that the Archdiocese knew for a long time the facts of this case, Miguel's brother Ignacio Chinchilla said. It was only through litigation that they had no choice but to take responsibility for the misconduct of these two priests. Most of the remaining lawsuits are pending. Yeah, just these isolated incidents. What did you just fax me now?
Hey,
why did you do this? Because it's just too complicated.
I know, just so that you know. Obviously, that's why they send it to you, so that you'd have
From the website that's displayed behind home plate, where all 50 of you now are attending the Marlin games, now that they're not going to make the wild card, now that they're not giving away no bobblehead doll or floppy hats. Really, don't you people have any shame at all?
No.
I mean, give me a break. It's not expensive to go to a Marlin game. It just takes your breath away. What a bunch of phonies there are in that town. Just, whatever is the freebie du jour, you know, the early bird, the free bobblehead doll. Just like at the hockey games, man. Give away bobblehead dolls. These people, 90% of them don't even know who those players are that have got the bobblehead doll. Oh, it might be worth something someday, though. Just like that jackass that called that day about he got OJ's autograph at that ill-fated golf tournament because it might be worth something someday. How pathetic is that? Remember that?
Yeah.
I just chewed him an ass. He said, well, I didn't really want it, but it might be worth something someday. It's an OJ autograph, you know. Yeah, wipe your ass with it, pal. Anyway, yesforlocalcontrol.com is their website that's displayed behind home plate on that moving ad sign. It says yes on Amendment 4 when it comes to increasing education funding through the regulation of tax. Oh, it is the right one. This is great. We love the Marlins. They're just the best. Of course, that's a paid ad, but nevertheless, it is the one, Amendment 4, see? Thank you very much. Didn't I tell you this is important that this guy, whoever faxed it to us, and I thank them profusely. Look at this. This is from WLRN. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
We have people listening to WLRN on this horseball show. That's amazing.
Phil Latzman for one, possibly more.
Oh, we like Phil Latzman a lot.
Yes, we do. Listen to him every morning.
You listen to Phil Latzman?
Phil Latzman.
Wow.
Every morning.
I'll be damned. I guarantee you this is the only radio station in the country that's got a drop-in for Phil Latzman. Yes, on Amendment 4, when it comes to, it says, shouldn't you have the right to decide billions of dollars for education in Florida? The Yes for Local Control campaign supports Amendment 4, an amendment on the ballot this November that gives Dade and Broward County voters the right to decide in later elections whether they want to authorize slot machines at 7 existing pari-mutuel facilities in their 2 counties. If the counties vote yes in later referenda, the revenues must be used to supplement, not replace, current levels of Florida education spending statewide. So in other words, it's not going to be a bait and switch like the lottery was. This is supplement, not replace, current levels of funding for education statewide in Florida. And it goes on about funding $2.34 billion over 4 years, 5 years it's going to raise. Revenue for Florida, $7.7 billion. Untaxed gaming revenue recaptured, $1.95 billion over 5 years. Just billions and billions in local government revenues, employment, construction, untaxed gaming revenue recaptured by the state. Just fantastic. This is great. In fact, what we ought to do is put a link to this on our website, yesforlocalcontrol.com. You think we can do that? I bet you Eric can do it. If anybody can do it, fat old Eric, he the man. So maybe you want to, send that along to him.
I'll do it.
He'll hop right on it. And also, I don't know, I tried to email him because I don't have time to diddle around sending emails. The thing that Norma Kent said, I tried to email just we'll see what happens with that. Because he's got to get the pictures of Georgia Bush on there. 26 past 11 at 560 WQAM. Right now, as I speak, Armstrong Ford of Homestead wants to clear their lots and sell off all remaining 04s. Here are just a few of the great deals waiting on you. An 04 we'll say it again, an 04 F-150 pickup. That's what I said. Just $1 over invoice. New 04 Explorers, just $1 over invoice. Rangers, Crown Vics, Tauruses, and Focuses, all waiting for you at Armstrong Ford at just $1 over invoice. Plus, Armstrong Ford offers more value to its loyal customers. When you buy your Ford from these folks, you'll get their exclusive, unbelievable Tires and Batteries for Life program. That's right, Tires and Batteries for Life. The value you'll get at Armstrong Ford doesn't stop there either, because right now you'll get a free Florida Sun Pass with any vehicle you buy. If you're pressed for time, Armstrong Ford knows your time is valuable, so just give them a call at 305-247-5112. 247-5112, and shop right over the old phone. They'll even deliver that new vehicle right to your door. Armstrong Ford of Homestead, locally owned and operated. They treat you just like family, and I guarantee you, I'll bet you Greg and the Water Nazis' lives on it. You won't get a better deal anywhere on a Ford in town. No bait and switch, no phony deals. Armstrong Ford of Homestead. You'll find them at 30725 South Dixie Highway, just 20 minutes south of the old 836. Check them out on the web at ArmstrongCars.com and then drive a little and save a tons of cash on that new Ford only at Armstrong Ford of Homestead.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM. Now, Inside Edition.
George, what are you going to do during the Republican convention?
Party, party, party.
All right.
Drinking all the time.
And what's your drink of choice?
Jack Daniels.
Wow. Why do you drink that?
Because I need it.
That's some strong stuff.
It's gut-wrenching.
GW, you are drunk.
I don't think so.
Well, then prove it. Say Abu Ghraib.
Abu Ghraib. Abu Ghraib. Abu Ghraib.
He's toast.
I had a little too much to drink, and I'm sick.
Inside Edition. We'll be right back.
7:31 at 560 WQAM. Don't forget George and Miguel at Happy Hour, Treasure Island, 5 to 7 tonight. I'm looking at the 11 o'clock tracking map of Hurricane Jean.
Yeah.
And even though some of the local yokels there are trying to get the audience whipped up into a frenzy, the bad news for them is it isn't within a zillion miles of there, okay? In fact, the new track shows it going to the northwest. It's already north of where you're sitting right now.
Yeah, but it might corkscrew around.
And then it's going to go like a little, drift a little to the south, then to the west, then like to the northwest, and to the northwest some more, and then to the almost due north. In fact, it looks like it's headed right for your house in North Carolina at 8 a.m. Monday. I'd say around Monday afternoon I'd be up there. Waiting for the big blow from Gene. Also, and I do want to mention, I don't talk about it enough, everybody out there who ever even looks at our website, if you don't view that 9/11 Pentagon strike video, that clip, there's something desperately wrong with it.
Yeah, you're a schmuck.
Yeah, because that I'm getting a lot of feedback on that thing from people I know, and people are like very disturbed by that. Now that we more and more know that the government just lies through their teeth. Not that there's anything new, and of course the media are the co-conspirators in that, helping peddle all of their bull crap. They love doing it. Here's the poll results so far. Who's gotten screwed the worst? Not the most, but the worst at QAM. We know the winner of the most. We got 257 votes already, not too bad. Niels Lister, 62. Hank Goldberg, 58, who might just be back soon. We're praying. Joe Rose, 34. Bill Zimfer. Look at what Bill Zimfer's got.
About 30, man.
And just as I said that, it went to 31. Joe and Mark, 28. Jeff Defoe for Forrest, 27. Jorge Rodriguez, 7. Neil Rogers, 6. Mo Howard David at 5. Joe Zagacki, 2. And Miguel Escobar voted for himself. Somebody voted for Miguel. He wouldn't do that himself, would he?
No, I'm sure not.
No. 5670560. Oh, here's the breakdown on Jews. They just showed the Jewish polling. Okay. This is pretty disturbing for the election. Kerry, 69%. Bush, 24%. Nader, 3%. How can Bush have 24% of the Jewish vote? That must be all the Jews I know down there in South Florida.
Must be.
Because more and more I'm encountering, not all of them, but many, far too many, generally people who handle money. People with a lot of money, people who handle other people's money, stock market kind of people, all of those people, real right-wingers. No matter who the right-winger du jour is, they lick his ass. No matter how bad it is for the country, the rest of the world, all of these things, no matter how we're going to blow the world up, it's always, they're good. Just like Ed Crotch. Well, he's good for Israel, that kind of crap. Jews for Bush. I think they ought to out Ed Koch, although, quite frankly, is there anybody who doesn't know at this point?
No.
Is Bess Myerson dead?
Who? Russ Myerson.
WQAM, hello.
How about Joe Angel?
Joe Angel got screwed bad. That's a good choice.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Joe Angel for the poll. Get him on there, hotshot. Joe Angel. And he keeps bouncing back. He also got canned in Frisco again. Where did he wind up?
You're asking Josh?
Yeah. He wound up somewhere else again this year, Joe Angel.
I don't know where he is now.
I don't know. He's somewhere. But he got screwed over big time so that we could have your... Oh, that's right. You can't say too much because you got to hold Dave Van Boring's hand again tonight at the ballpark. Mad Dog at 2. Mo Howard David for Hank. Hopefully one of the last times for this afternoon. Marlins on deck 6:30. The Phillies in town for the Marlins again tonight 7:05. I bet you there'd be a giant crowd there tonight.
About 30, man.
Not 1,000, just people. And Eddie K after the baseball game. That's our lineup, and it's written in like Crayola today. Nice going, Clarence. I didn't know you had it in you. Line 9, WQAM, hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, sir.
You know all the big fuss we heard about Zell Miller voting for Bush, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's been on BuzzFlash for the last 2 days. You know Lincoln Chafee from Rhode Island,
Right.
Republican senator.
Yeah, they had him on TV yesterday. He said he wasn't voting for Kerry. He would write in some other Republican.
Right, but we haven't heard nearly the fuss
Of course
about
not.
that.
Right.
I mean, I haven't, seen it in the paper.
Right.
So
that's because of that great liberal media.
Right. Yeah.
I will tell you this much. I don't know if I mentioned it yesterday or maybe I told George this morning before the show. Had to be George because last night CNN took a poll on their website about do you think that the media are liberal, conservative, or neither? 68% of the respondents, there were thousands and thousands because CNN's got millions of viewers.
Right.
Conservative, 68% said that. And it was like only 24% the media's liberal. So the majority of the public out there, except for the morons that watch Fox News, they know what it's all about.
Right. Well, you know what surprised me in 2000? I've been around a while, and you know how it was in Al Franken's book that 62% of the newspapers endorsed Bush?
Yeah.
I thought a lot of normally Republican papers would say, basically, we can't support this idiot. He's unfit for the job.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in his background.
And a compulsive liar, right.
Right. I thought they would say, sit this out or vote for Gore and we'll go after it next time. But I mean, it's just amazing that anybody could support this idiot. He's so...
It shocks the hell out of me, and especially when you look at the rest of the world are all onto him big time, and America is just mesmerized by the media, man. They're brainwashed, they're goose-stepping right along. Good luck to us, Pally.
It's like a cult.
You got it.
All right, bye.
Bye. Praying principal says God rules at his school. Again, this one just can't stop. You know which one this is. Again, the evangelist principal up there in Boca, in the mouth of the rat, Boca Raton. Public high school principal in Boca says he will not be deterred by criticism he's received for expressing his evangelical Christian beliefs.
Oi!
An atheist teacher at Boca High condemned Principal Jeff McKee for telling staff at a recent faculty meeting that all of his significant decisions are made prayerfully. Yet another faculty member accused McKee of hiring only people from his church or those with strong belief in God. And a Roman Catholic parent complained about McKee's proposed Introduction to the Bible course. Still, the Florida principal insists the attacks will not stop him from acknowledging his faith in God. He notes that the community he serves is extremely mixed, with 73 birth countries represented by the student population in just about every religious group. Still, McKee says, this community has been very supportive of me as a principal and of anything I've brought into the school, including trying to create as godly an environment as possible. Godly an environment. They're even piping the show in there, I heard.
Oh, God.
Also, the principal says he prays for every student and teacher in each classroom he visits and throughout the day, asking that God's Spirit would descend on Boca Raton High School to protect students from the evil one. Oh, to protect from George Bush. Well, maybe that's not such a bad idea. And McKee notes that he's not the only one praying. A campus student group and a group called Moms in Touch meet weekly. Yeah, touch this. Moms in Touch. They meet weekly to intercede for the school as well. The Christian, see, this is the thing with you religious nuts, is you can't stop intruding where you don't belong, where you're not wanted. You have no business there.
It's for your own good.
Yeah, right.
You'll thank us later.
That's what they said during the Crusades, too. They made them an offer they couldn't refuse, and they haven't stopped ever since. The Christian school official says he's seen some dramatic, immediate answers to prayer while on the job. In one instance, he recounts, literally as I was praying, a staff member walked up to me and said he got a funny report about a child who possibly had drugs in one of the restrooms. Upon retrieving the young girl, McKee says, it turned out she had a purse full of pills that she said, and I believe it was a believable story to me, she was stockpiling for a suicide attempt. You see that?
Uh-huh.
The high school's chief administrator considers that incident and several others like it to be moments of divine intervention. I don't know how else to describe it, he'd be saying, other than the Holy Spirit's active involvement in our school as a result of prayer. Oh, God. That's good. McKee says God's influence is powerful at his school, and the evidence of divine grace has been and continues to be amazing. It continues to be.
Incredible.
Since the Christian principal took over there, Boca High has gone from being a school with seriously high crime statistics to one of the lowest incidents of violence in all of Palm Beach County. Let's hear it for God. Let's hear it for Jesus.
You're listening to Neil Rogers on 560 QAM.
It's
Sting!
Yes.
Miami town.
Absolutely.
At 560 WQAM.
He's John the Maniac, the guy that pushed out in the back. Would they give all the kids and the next day to attack? He's John the Maniac. He served his country well and won the POW. But in 2000 was called him a traitor and voodoo. Called his wife a druggie and trashed his daughter too. And now the kids supporting him. All these kids ain't gonna live. He's John the Maniac. How can he put up with that crap? Must have been a winner's finger to support the little singer. The John the Cheney. Talking about the Cheney. John the Maniac.
Abu Ghraib.
11:45, 15 till noon at 560 WQM. Here's the poll. We're getting a big response on this, as I knew we would. Isn't this a great poll?
Yes, indeed.
So much screwing and so little time. Who's gotten screwed the worst at WQAM? We're asking right now. And, of course, there's a long list. 331 votes. Joe Angel just went on there. He don't have any yet. We'll go from the bottom to the top, right? We'll work right on up to the top.
Okay.
Joe Zagaki's got a pair. Miguel Escobar has got 2. What'd I call him? Mo Howard David at 5. Neil Rogers 7. Jorge Rodriguez 11. And by the way, I forgot to tell you, I've decided to terminate George Rodriguez.
That's terminal.
Jeff DeForest has. Look what Depot's got.
About 30, man.
Joe and Mark 35. Bill Zimfer 36. Joe Rose 40. The Humper 76, who we pray may be returning soon. We think, we hope, we're praying. And leading by and pulling away from the pack, Neil's listeners. Thank you, Cheryl. Good idea. 87. Neil's listeners getting screwed and tattooed. They haven't got a clue when the show starts. And guess what? Join the club. Gene Lyons, who writes for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I got a whole bunch of bedtime stories here, and you know what? I'm going to read them.
All right.
Because we got a couple of hours to go, almost a full show here today, and I'm going to make the most of it between now and election day. Make no mistake about it. Gene Lyons writes, if there's ever a Hall of Fame for political propagandist, whoever concocted the phrase liberal media bias deserves a statue. As a catchphrase, it has everything, allowing GOP activists to avoid unpleasant realities, bully timid media careerists, and pose as iconoclasts while cashing big checks from crackpot sugar daddies and whining about how everybody picks on Republicans. Last week saw the perfect fruition of that strategy as the entire howling mob Eric Alterman aptly calls the so-called liberal media, or SCLM, ran down Dan Rather and CBS like a pack of coyotes hunting a house cat for making a dumb blunder about President Bush's lost time in the Texas Air National Guard. CBS bungled big time, but what made the suspect documents persuasive was that, whether it was 1972 or last month, whoever wrote the nudie tales of the mission-accomplished flyboys long ago Vanishing Act, facts unearthed not only by CBS, but by the Boston Globe, New York Times, USA Today, and Salon. The White House hasn't disputed their content. Anybody who imagines that Bush fully discharged his duty or that the White House has ever told the truth about it must be inhaling some of the same incense he apparently liked to snuffle up back in those halcyon days when Daddy's Rolodex held solutions to life's vexing problems. You wonder if you know who George Bush is, Dean Room, a former roommate, told USA Today in 2002. Where George failed was to fulfill his obligations as a pilot. There was an irrational time in his life. But Democrats need to let the National Guard thing go. If 30-year-old controversies matter,
About 30, man.
Bush is now inoculated against damage. Theories that the White House political operative Karl Rove engineered the fiasco are not only too clever by half, they'll never be proved. How could he count upon CBS's unwitting cooperation? If only the press would devote equivalent zeal to learning who concocted the phony documents Bush used to claim that Iraq sought uranium from Niger, or who in the White House helped columnist Robert Novak unmask Valerie Plame, the CIA covert operative married to Joseph Wilson, the former ambassador who helped unravel the African uranium hoax. Many Washington journalists already know the answer, but everybody's protecting their sources. The SCLM's piling on CBS has been something to see. I hold no brief for Dan Rather, but every journalist has been hornswoggled by sources, but that's the beauty of the liberal media bias trope. We live in the aftermath of three of the most egregious press failures in American history, the Whitewater hoax, the Washington press clique's war on Gore during the 2000 election, and its disgraceful parroting of Bush's Iraqi weapons of mass destruction propaganda. All three benefited the Republican right. All were perpetrated not by Rush Limbaugh and the Washington Times, although they did their best, but by the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the major broadcast networks. Each involved ethical and professional lapses far worse than CBS's recent screw-up. To my knowledge, none of the perpetrators has paid any price whatsoever. It just doesn't happen. Three personal examples. I saw pundit Andrew Sullivan, that queen, on CNN clucking over CBS's mistakes. In 1994, when Sullivan edited the New Republic, it ran a cover story accusing Bill Clinton of corruptly enriching his wife's law firm by changing Arkansas's usury laws as governor. In fact, the deed was done by the public referendum under Clinton's Republican predecessor. On December 19, 1995, ABC's Nightline aired a deceptively edited video clip of a Hillary Clinton press conference about Whitewater. It accused her of lying about the very information electronically deleted from her remarks. No consequences followed. On May 4, 1996, the New York Times published an article with a deceptive AP byline stating that an FBI agent's trial testimony described a $50,000 windfall to Whitewater from an illegal loan. As the actual AP article stipulated, the agent gave no such testimony. Many accusatory editorials and columns followed, helping Kenny Starr prolong his fruitless investigation of Bill Clinton's finances for years. The Times has never acknowledged this blunder. Bob Summerby's DailyHowler.com has documented countless instances of reporters parroting and sometimes inventing nonsensical tales, making Al Gore look like a big phony during the 2000 campaign, that he claimed that he had invented the Internet, for example, or falsely said that he had inspired the movie Love Story. Both make-believe, both repeated and ad infinitum by pundits who fear no consequences because Democrats don't get it, while Republicans protect their own and savage anybody who gets in their way. Now, Paul Craig Roberts writes, American Attention Deficit America. I'm not reading these this well today. I'm trying to go too fast. Just slow down. You got plenty of time. See, I'm in the habit of, like, rushing through now.
Russian.
We're in the big rush. You know what I'm talking about? Hop a few more, Rush. You phony, you liar, you piece of crap, you. Paul Craig Roberts in Counterpunch writes, excuse me, but the story is not CBS and the George W. Bush National Guard documents. The story is, how did the U.S. Congress, the opposition party, the news media, and the U.S. public let the Bush administration start a war based on phony documents? If someone deceived CBS and passed off forged documents as real, at least CBS consulted experts about the documents before going on the air. Speaking of questionable documents, the Bush administration has swallowed a large number. What about the obviously forged yellow cake documents that were the basis for the mistaken claim that Saddam Hussein had a nuclear weapons program? The Bush administration did not check out the stovepipe phony intelligence fed them by Iraqi exiles with an agenda and by neocons determined to turn the war on terror into a war against Iraq, Iran, and Syria. The Bush administration ignored all warnings from real experts and CIA and State Department analysts. Bush invaded a country that not only posed no threat to the U.S., but also had no weapons of mass destruction, no connections to Osama bin Laden. The Bush administration's forged war has cost more than 1,000 American families their sons, husbands, fathers, brothers, and a few of their sisters, daughters, and mothers. Another 7,000 to 8,000 American soldiers have been wounded, more than half too grievously to be returned to combat. Many have lost arms, legs, and eyes. What have we achieved with these enormous casualties? We've committed war crimes by bombing residential neighborhoods and killing thousands of women and children. We've made ourselves infamous as prison torturers. We've created an insurgency that we cannot put down. We've given bin Laden an enormous boost in credibility and terrorist recruitment. We've lost the world's sympathy. We've aroused massive anger from Muslims around the world and started a process of Muslim reunification. We've wasted $200 billion that had high opportunity cost in terms of real needs that went unmet. We've made these egregious mistakes because the Bush administration and the President of the United States used questionable documents that Dan Rather and CBS would have rejected. You have to ask yourself, why is the front page story CBS? If CBS had forged the documents in order to intentionally mislead the public the way the Bush government used phony documents to start a war, yes, there would be a story. If someone fooled CBS with forged documents, the only story is, what was that person's agenda? Why did he do it? Did the forger intend it as an offset dirty trick to the Swift boat dirty trick against Kerry, or was it a blow aimed at CBS? The CBS report is about something we already know, the missing gap in Bush's National Guard service. If the CBS report fails to illumine that gap, then the story remains to be told. News organizations should get off CBS and out of the story. Whether documents are forged or authentic, the CBS investigation of Bush's National Guard service is far less important than Bush's war based on intentional deception. Will the American people focus long enough to demand the real story, asks Paul Craig Roberts? And the answer is probably no. They don't have time. They got bigger fish to fry, baby. They got important crap going on. Speaking of crap, wait till you hear this story. You'll love this.
I love it.
From Winfield, West Virginia. 3 men burglarized the home of Jack Whitaker. Now, not the Jack Whitaker that used to be the old curmudgeon guy that was on ABC Sports for 100 years. That neither one of you probably remember.
Who? I know Roger Whitaker.
3 men burglarized the home of Jack Whitaker, winner of the biggest lottery jackpot in U.S. history, as an acquaintance of Whitaker lay dead inside, police said yesterday. Kind of a bizarre story, wouldn't you say?
Indeed.
Whitaker was not at home at the time, and Chief Deputy John Daly said the death of Jesse Joe Tribble, 18, was not related to the burglary and was not a homicide. It may have been drug-related, Daly said. We're pretty sure that they knew he was dead. That's why they went inside and took the stuff, Daly said. Well, they better never break into Imus's house. Just when you thought he was dead, bada bing, he's sitting there with that piece. The break-in took place Thursday night or Friday morning. One of those arrested reported Tribble's death late Friday morning, Daly said. Tribble was a friend of Whitaker's granddaughter, and all three suspects were acquainted with Tribble. Daly wouldn't say how all three knew about Tribble's death. J.C. Shaver, 20, James Travis Willis, 25, and Jeffrey Dustin Campbell, 20, were charged with larceny and other offenses after being captured on a security camera that Whitaker recently had installed, authorities said. Police recovered $15,000 worth of items taken from the home, Daly said. He didn't give a total for everything stolen. Whitaker won the largest single jackpot in U.S. history when he hit a $314.9 million Powerball jackpot Christmas Day of 2002. Remember that?
Yes.
He chose to accept a lump sum of about $113 million after taxes. Just a paltry total. Since then, wait till you hear this. It goes to show you, don't be winning no big lottery because bad things will happen. Remember that cocktail waitress that won the jackpot in Vegas a few years ago?
Yeah.
Like $25 million jackpot? And then she went out like the next day and she got hit in her car by some drunk. And she's like
paralyzed.
Paralyzed for the rest of her life with her $25 million. Anyway, since winning the Powerball lottery and $113 million after taxes, Whitaker's vehicle, business and home have been broken into repeatedly. Last year, a strip club manager and his girlfriend were charged with drugging Whitaker and stealing a briefcase containing more than $500,000 in cash and cashier's checks. The money was recovered. So if you're going to win the lottery, I would say lay low.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
Well, it be the 12 to 1 hour on WQAM.
Duncan Hines Moist Yellow Cake is no longer available. Homeland Security has discovered many housewives with links to Al-Qaeda have stockpiled Duncan Hines Yellow Cake in a directive issued by John Ashcroft. All housewives that are not registered Republican will be rounded up and summarily raped under Presidential Order 1032 of the Bush-Honda Accord. Prisoner rape is okie dokie. If you have yellow cake mix on your shelf, dispose of it now. Duncan Hines. We gotta find something else to do.
Like Shula, like the brainstem. 1201 at 560 WQM. Maybe come out of retirement. The Dolphins need a coach, brainstem. Come on.
Oh!
I mean, you don't see any place called Wannstedt Steak 2, do you?
Not yet, but
no.
It is the Wannstedt area.
No, he's dead meat. Anyway, 414 votes at the poll right now. Who's gotten screwed most at QAM? Neil's listeners, 114. The humper, Hank Goldberg, who may, we pray, be coming back soon, 95. Joe Rose, 49. He certainly got screwed not only badly, but over and over repeatedly. Bill Zimfer, 44. Joe and Mark, 38. Jeff Depot to Forrest, 35. Jorge Rodriguez, 16. Neil Rogers, only 9. Mo Howard David at 7. Joe Angel, 3. Miguel Escobar, 2. And Joe Zagacki, 2 out of 414. 5670560. Pound. Oh, and Uno's was the name of the pizza joint I was trying to think of yesterday.
Oh,
Uno's.
Yeah.
Remember I said it was beginning with a U, as in U2?
Right.
Brute. But anyway, it was Uno's, and then there was, what was the other one? My Pie. And Your Pie. I don't know what happened with that, and maybe there are some places in South Florida that still are into that deep dish pizza thing. It's just, I don't know. There are different regions that have things that go over really big, just like that Cajun crap from New Orleans and all that. I don't know. I think if they build a Cajun restaurant in Boca, for example, it would go over like halava in Siberia. Not too big.
You never know.
But you never know until you try it. The phones are really weak today, you know. They got nothing to say because we're not building a poll, and we're back to that. We're back into a syndrome again. You notice how we went through a long period there where they were just foaming at the mouth. They had lots to say, but now I think the hurricanes have worn them out, especially with that near loss to FSU. WQAM, hello.
Neil.
To a girls' school. Yes, sir.
I'm the gentleman who called you about the board in behind the batter.
Right.
You finally found out what it was. Now you let me know, and I appreciate that. I didn't know what they were asking.
There you go. You see, ask
and
and
it was
receive, man.
And it was Pizzeria Uno in Kendall, but it's
right.
Flores is still around.
Flores is still there, but they don't have the deep dish. That's just good stuff, though.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Neil.
Thanks a lot, Pally. Yeah, let's talk pizza. What do you say?
No.
Come on. No, but he's right.
No, let's not talk it. Let's eat it.
Can't eat it.
We're
Too
gonna
many carbs. How's your friend Jeff Cohen doing, by the way? Speaking of pizza, how's your good close personal buddy Jeff Cohen doing? Remember how he stiffed us on that day of the when we thought the hurricane was coming on that Friday, my last day down there before I finally got
his
out?
own problems, right?
Huh?
That's fine. Everybody was
What do you
busy.
mean he's got his own problems?
He had
I had a call from the
himself.
Rim Man who's going to be here in Toronto tomorrow. Oh, I knew I was getting depressed for some reason. The Rimmers are coming. All through the city, up and down Yonge Street, they're riding on horseback, screaming, "The Rimmers are coming! The Rimmers are coming!" And everybody's going,
Oi!
Can you believe that? But anyway, Rimmer told me that Jeff Cohen said business was sensational and everything is going great. I just don't think he wants anything to do with us anymore. I think you did something to him.
I must have.
WQAM, hello.
Oh, I used to love Uno's Pizza.
Isn't that great?
Yes, they still have them up in the Orlando area, but, you know, nobody's there. Just proves that nothing ever lasts in South Florida that's any good.
Anything good that comes along, it's gone in a heartbeat.
No, forget about it. Everything has to be in the New York style down here. You can't have anything Chicago stuff, except for hot dog heaven. Anyway, what I called about, I was watching that Pentagon video, and it sold me on, I think it was a missile, because a plane cannot make a hole like that in a building. Like that clean tunnel-like hole, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too colorful, but...
Yes, please don't.
My question
Joyce will be in your house in about a half an hour slapping the crap out of you.
Can't you give her number out?
I would love to.
Anyway, what happened to the plane, though? What happened to Flight 77?
It just kind of vanished.
You think? Because that was the plane that Barbara Olson, I think, was on, wasn't she?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah, but what happened to it? I mean, the video doesn't really explain that. I can't just disappear. How does the 757 disappear?
How about into the ocean? You think they're going to find it if it went in the ocean, for example?
Well, something would have to wash up, wouldn't it?
Way out in the middle of the ocean? Wash up on what?
Well, you would just think with all those parts...
But you're saying something would have to wash up, but if it really did crash there into the Pentagon, why isn't there any single trace? Why isn't there, like, any part, any evidence of human, anything, nothing?
No, I don't believe that it did.
Yeah, there's no luggage, no clothing, nothing,
Right.
zero. There is absolutely no evidence there that a plane with anybody on it crashed in that building.
Especially you would find the huge tail section or wings or something like in that video. You
Absolutely.
see all the wreckage of other plane crashes, and you always have that huge tail section.
And why is it that on the video that is available, that it doesn't show up, that it's not there, we don't see it?
Right. I don't know. It's all a conspiracy, and you know who they are in charge, and we have to get him out. And I don't know if it's going to happen because this guy is such a dullard. I want to vote for him, and I'm going to several times.
Well, let's kick him in the ass a little bit and take that mask off. Maybe he looks pretty good underneath. Have a great day, sweetheart. Bye-bye. Good luck to us. Maybe he looks really neat underneath it. You think so?
No.
Oh, and look, at line 12 is ringing. This must be very important. QAM, hello, bat line.
Pizza Loft, home of the world's best pizza. We have deep dish pizza.
You're brutal, man. You're unbelievable.
Sicilian pizza.
Don't you know that prostitution is illegal in Florida?
Only if you get
You
caught.
are the biggest whore I've ever known in my life, man. You're just unbelievable. But we still love you, though, even though you don't like us anymore.
What are you talking about, man? It was the middle of a hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Friday I was there. There was not the middle of a hurricane. We were making some preparations. I think you were busy with preparation H, eh?
No, man. I had to get my house squared away, my restaurant squared away, my mother squared away.
You're polishing, man. Thank God for Howie's fed us that day, or we'd have been starving altogether.
I know.
Boy, don't ever count on Jeff Cohen, man. When you're starving to death in a hurricane, the big blow is coming. He'll just leave you hanging. If you were really a good friend, Al Goldstein wouldn't be sleeping in a shelter somewhere.
In New York.
Is he really?
Yeah. He's working at a deli there.
But he's not sleeping in the shelter, really, is he?
You know what? I haven't talked to him because his cell was disconnected. So maybe he is.
That's terrible. That's bad.
There was a deli there that he knew the guy. Actually, the guy's name is Cohen, too, that owns the deli up there in New York. And he's working as a host there.
As a host?
Uh-huh.
Kind of like Abe Hirschfeld.
Yeah, quite interesting.
Same difference, yeah. Kind of like Greg Budell.
Mm-hmm.
Host at the Country Kitchen.
So when's the next time you're back in town here? Never?
Not for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not making that mistake again for a very long time, believe me. That was 8 days of pure hell. If there is such a place as hell, I'm pretty familiar now with what it's going to be like.
It was pretty stressful down here with all that storms going through and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And then luckily for me, though, those people got my hurricane shutters up several days after Ivan passed by, but nevertheless, at least they're up now. But pretty lame.
All right, well, I might have to call you back later to talk about safe alarms anyway, so we'll see what happens.
About what?
Nothing. But do you know that we do?
I just dumped that. Don't be pulling Al Goldstein on me and putting names of places on the air, please, okay?
Oh, I would never do anything
well,
bad.
Don't do it again, please.
Okay.
So you have deep dish pizza at the Pizza Loft in Davie, right?
It's just called Sicilian.
Nah.
It's the same thing. It's in a dish. It's in a pan, a rectangular pan.
Yeah. We got something in a pan, all right. In fact, I think Mo said he had something either in a bag or in a pan.
Did I miss you talking about the Mandich thing today, I'm assuming?
Yeah, you missed it. That's because you don't know what time
it's unbelievable.
The whole article on there. It's fantastic. Nice going, Jimbo.
All right.
Yeah. Mad Dog. He's the man, man. He don't take any crap from anybody. He's that kind of guy.
That was pretty cool.
And you also missed the part that Hank might be, that he's meeting with Greg Reed this week and maybe coming back, we hope, soon.
I read that in the paper, too.
Well, there you go.
Okay, well, let's hope they get it all worked out.
Okay, there goes Jeff Cohen, the world's largest, biggest prostitute.
World's best pizza.
All right.
Okay, home of the money back guarantee.
Are you still doing the low-carb pizza?
Yes, the whole wheat crust, whole wheat pasta.
I want to say this to you, because I haven't talked to you in a while since I was there those awful 8 days, but Troy Stratford, you need to beat him up a little bit, because that other place that was on with that low-carb pizza thing, I said, Jeff's not going to be too happy about this, because it wasn't that far from you. Oh, well, they're not advertising a pizza really that much, and then he keeps giving me copy with nothing about anything except pizza, man. I said, Ponytail, I'm not going to be too pleased with this, former Ponytail.
I've mellowed in my old age.
Yeah.
So.
You just let it run off your back like a duck.
You got it. Well, with my sales guy, what do you expect?
Okay, exactly. Have a great holiday.
All right, dude.
And don't eat on Saturday, please. You'll burn in hell. See you.
Okay, bye.
If you're going to celebrate Yom Kippur by eating pizza, go to the, yeah, that's right. You can eat some real trafe there, too. You can get it with, like, Pappy Rooney. Huh?
Right.
Pappy Rooney and cheese.
And roast
milk
pig.
and fleshik. Mix it all up there. Make sure you got separate dishes when you eat this Saturday on Yom Kippur. I should take off one day. I mean, I got screwed so badly on that whole deal. If everybody else wants to pretend to be really religious and frum and all of that crap on Rosh Hashanah, they're not fooling me. They're not going to shul. They're not putting on that beanie. They're not doing any of these things. All they're doing is screwing off, man. There's one thing I cannot stand is people who don't show up every single day for work, you know? God, I hate that. And I'm talking about, like, the full length of their show, too.
Right.
No, but you see it, he missed me talking about that because, like everybody else in this audience, he has no idea what time the show starts, and neither do we. And while on the one hand, I'm not complaining about, see, I understand I sound like, well, you're just doing a lot of whining, which I am. It's fun.
Flip-flop.
But, yeah, I'm flip-flopping. But it is really a bitch when it's so spastic. I mean, it can be 10:15, it can be 10:45, it can be 11:15. We don't know. And what really gets me are those long goodbyes, man. I mean, do you really have to read the entire Manhattan phone directory and say goodbye to each and every one of them, Howard? Is that what it takes to, Yeah. What the hell was that? Here's the poll result. Who's gotten screwed the worst? Not the most, but the worst at QAM. 455 votes already. We've been on for an hour and a half. This is starting to get like the old times, you know what? Neil's listeners, 129. I think that might win. Hank Goldberg, the humper, though, 105. He's getting screwed and tattooed, man, and it don't even feel good. Joe Rose, 54. Bill Zimfer, 45. Joe and Mark, 42. Jeff DeForest, 38. Jeff DeFlorist with that corn. George Rodriguez, 16. Neil Rogers, 10. Mo Howard David at 8. Joe Angel, 4. Miguel Escobar and Joe Zagacki each have a pair. And quite frankly, 12 minutes past noon at 560 WQAM. I've told you for a long time, many, many years about my good buddy Chuck Alfieri. He's the hair expert. For over 35 years, Charlie's been providing amazing, natural-looking hair systems that are virtually 100% undetectable. And right now, Charlie's introducing the latest development in hair restoration. It's called the new Laser Light Therapy Treatment, and it's used for treating fine and thinning hair. Really fine hair.
Oh, we're fine.
This new treatment that's FDA certified restores hair and scalp back to its healthiest state while increasing hair shaft density and volume. Can you believe that I had to dump Jeff Cohn there because he wanted to rag on some... That's bad.
Yeah.
You see, when you hang around with Al Goldstein long enough, it starts rubbing off on you, so to speak. Anyway, the new laser light therapy and its cool light laser device is effective on both men and women. This is a painless, non-invasive treatment. It's complete in just about a half an hour. Just takes a few minutes of your life.
About 30, man.
Charlie and his staff have witnessed dramatic results with this new system that impedes hair fallout for those of you with fine and thinning hair. So stop waiting for a magic from heaven that's going to make your thinning hair stop falling into the sink, into the shower, or on the floor, and give Charlie a call to learn more about that new laser light therapy treatment, how it can solve your thinning hair problem. It really can change your life forever. Here's their toll-free number, 1-800-321-2413. That's 1-800-321-2413, or on the Wicked World Wide Web. It's CharlesAlfieri.com.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560.
God. We have a different point of view. Now we're in turn and our lives are through. Bye-bye, I've been so long. Bye-bye, so long. See you in the shower. See you when they get around to you. Here we are, in the saltatiously waiting, asphyxiating, when the bubbles are spreading. Who stepped in line, but remember, there is danger in what you're seeing on Fox News. When I see you in the showers, here's a tip for you. You won't need a towel. As drunk will come for you. Ain't go to Sanders and Kitty Juice. Bye-bye, I'm dead so long. Bye-bye, so long.
12:18 at 560 WQAM. Jim Mandich tells Channel 10.
You can kiss my rear end.
Even though it sounded a little bit more like the little dog there than the mad dog, didn't it? A little more like
you can kiss my rear end.
But I guess they hung around, and they both were tight ends, which is what the rumor is. Anyway, I better get back to business here because I got a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm taking calls about pizza again now. You see it? Because basically, when you come right down to it, we'd all rather eat, you know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they did have that pill, that magic pill that we're all dreaming about, and you could just... Can you even imagine how great that would be?
Yeah, it would be great. We'd never get anything
still
done.
Would probably spend a lot of time on the throne, unless the pill, of course, would just make it all like magically disappear, kind of like that plane they were talking about. Just disappear into thin air. Wouldn't that be something? I don't think I'd have time to do the show. I'd be too. I'm pretty good at eating while I'm doing the show. I can talk and eat pizza at the same time.
Not just
rather ridiculous. Are you talking while I'm speaking?
Not me.
Rather ridiculous, writes John Nichols. I got two Dan Rather articles here that are both great. One by Antonia Zerbisius, who writes for the Toronto Star. She's great. But first, John Nichols, who writes for The Nation, which is pretty ain't too shabby either, writes, just about the only sensible voice in the whole controversy over the document CBS News used in its ham-handed attempt to raise questions about George W. Bush's service in the Texas National Guard came from retired typist Marion Carr Knox. As a former assistant to Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Killian, Bush's squadron commander, who allegedly suggested that officers had been persuaded to sugarcoat their evaluations of the politically connected young guardsmen, Knox was in a position to know more than just about anyone else about the authenticity of the documents and the sentiments expressed in them. In interviews with several news outlets, including CBS, Knox suggested that the Killian memos were forged but accurate. Now that CBS News anchor Dan Rathers acknowledged that he made a mistaken judgment when he relied on what now appear to have been bogus documents for a 60 Minutes report that detailed some of the favorable treatment Bush received, Knox's seemingly strange statement offers one of the few realistic routes out of the thicket of spin the Bush administration has erected to avoid a serious discussion of the president's Vietnam-era service in the Guard. He keeps putting service in quotes. Knox said she didn't think the memos that were purported to have been written by Killian were genuine, but she said they reflected sentiments the National Guard commander expressed at the time. Thus, the documents that have caused such a stir as this year's presidential campaign enters its final weeks could indeed be both forged and accurate. So where should Knox's insight lead us? First, anyone who wants to know the truth about Bush's pampered service should be furious with Rather and the CBS crew. When they refused to follow basic fact-checking standards, they failed their viewers and their broader American public that would for the first time be exposed by the September 8th 60 Minutes broadcast to a seemingly serious review of irregularities related to Bush's entry into the Guard, his ignoring of direct orders, his failure to show up for duty, and a pattern of reassignments that seemed always to benefit the son of a then-congressman from Texas rather than the country he was supposed to be serving. After more than a month of virtually round-the-clock assessment of Democratic presidential candidate John Kerry's Vietnam service, major media has a responsibility to re-examine the presidential's controversial service record. Yet by doing a haphazard job of reporting, then rushing to broadcast the supposed blockbuster story, Rather and his crew played into the hands of a Bush spin machine that's now expert at peddling the lie that a liberal media is out to distort the president's record. While their intent may have been to shed light on an interesting and potentially significant story of the special treatment accorded this son of privilege, Rather and CBS, in their search for a scoop, created a fog so thick that it could well obscure the story for the rest of the campaign. By relying on a few documents that were not adequately verified, CBS handed White House political czar Karl Rove exactly what he needed to steer attention away from the real story. Of course, it remains true that, as Rather says, those who have criticized aspects of our story have never criticized the heart of it, that George Bush received preferential treatment to get into the National Guard, and once there failed to satisfy the requirements of his service. Unfortunately, the heart of the story has been largely obscured by the controversy over the doctored documents. As such, Rather and CBS are guilty of undermining not just their own story, but the truth. That's particularly tragic because it was never really their story in the first place. The basic story of the machinations that George Herbert Walker Bush performed to help his son avoid serving in Vietnam and the dirty details of the son's failure to do his duty as a guardsman were well reported almost 5 years ago by Texas columnist Molly Ivins and Texas investigative reporter Lou Dubose in their still essential assessment of young Bush's path to power, Shrub. The chapter in their book regarding Bush's Vietnam-era guard duty is exceptionally well reported, compelling, and ultimately more damning of the Bush family and the current president than anything produced since its publication. So why didn't Rather and the CBS crew simply invite Ivins and Dubose, both experienced Texas reporters with long histories of sorting fact from fiction when dealing with the Bush family, to help produce a 60 Minutes report that would have told the story accurately and thoroughly? Perhaps CBS executives thought that because Ivins and Dubose wrote with a point of view rather than feigning journalistic impartiality, they could not be trusted to get the story straight. That, of course, is the common bias of the elite broadcast media in the U.S. Unfortunately, that bias led Rather and CBS to produce a story that has done severe damage to the prospects that the great mass of Americans will ever learn the truth about their president's Vietnam-era actions. There is a lesson to be learned here. There was never any need for Rather and CBS to go searching for a scoop regarding Bush's time in the Guard. The story's already been reported and written by Ivins and Dubose. What there was a need for a network with the courage to take that story, attach some pictures, and broadcast it. Unfortunately, CBS proved incapable of performing that simple task, and in doing so, CBS put the truth a little further out of reach for most Americans. That's why we got more tears from that big CBS eye.
The entire unedited interview that Dan Rather did with him.
I think it's a good idea, Wolf, but news organizations typically very reluctant to make available what you might call the
Howard Kurtz, who really hurts from that program, Reliable Sources on CNN. What a jerk this guy is. The guy licked Larry Kramer from CNBC, that clown that got tossed off the air. Licked his, and then they put him back on the air. It goes to show there is no such thing. The journalistic credibility in America now is an oxymoron. It rarely exists, journalistic credibility. It's all just a dog and pony show. Like Howard Beale said, a circus, a carnival. How's that poll coming? Glad you asked. Now, I'm wondering, do you think that Norma Kent... Oh, and I should point out to you that the emails, I tried forwarding it to Eric. I hope I had some success.
No.
We not only had Georgia Bush dressed up as a woman, we got Johanna Kerry, and we've got Joanne Edwards, and the whole bunch of them. All dressed in drag. You'll have to see him to believe it.
No, he did not get those emails because you're using Hotmail.
Yeah, I forwarded it to him. He said, try forwarding the thing to him. I tried it.
Again,
I'll have Norma email it directly to him later on, okay? I'm in the middle of attempting desperately to do a show, and I just, Plus, Norma's supposed to be having sushi with Greg Reed right now, discussing my future life and career at WQAM. Which leads us to that poll result, since Greg has this habit of screwing over everybody badly who comes through that door downstairs. And in some cases, you could leave the word over out. Who got screwed worst at QAM so far? We got 501 votes already, and less. That is pretty impressive. Aren't you impressed, Josh? Yes.
Very.
Neil's listeners, 137. They've gotten screwed and tattooed. Hank Goldberg, 121. Joe Rose, 65. Joe and Mark, 49. By the way, when are Joe and Mark coming back? Oh, that's right. Bill Zimfer, 48. Jeff DeForest, 38. Jorge Rodriguez, 21. Neil Rogers, 12. Mo Howard David at 10. Joe Angel, 5. Miguel Escobar, 2. And Joe Zagacki with a small pair. And by the way, in case you forgot since the last time I mentioned it,
Joe Zagacki sucks, okay?
26 past noon at 560 WQAM. Happy Wednesday to you. Hey, if you want to know more about following a low-carb diet, Well, I'm telling you, that Troy Stratford, man, he is an accident waiting to happen, you know what? Like I said, if you want to know more about following a low-carb diet, you want the best-tasting, largest selection of low-carb foods at the best price, then head for Delights of West Boca. I've been talking to you about this store for a long time. There's nothing else like it. Whether you're starting or restarting the Atkins, the Sugar Busters, South Beach, or any low-carb, sugar-free diet, Delights of West Boca has always been the #1 low-carb store in South Florida. We know you can shop your local grocery store, but if you want a better selection, you want to try it before you buy it, and your questions all answered with the friendliest customer service anywhere, then come to the low-carb headquarters, Delights of West Boca. Over 1,200 great products waiting for you, like Carbolite ice cream, breads, pasta, chocolates, brownies, cookies, and lots more. Delights is open every day, 7 days a week from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m., and you'll find them on the northeast corner of Glades and 441, right next to Boston Market. You can call them toll-free at 1-877-LOW-CARB, or on the web it's lowcarb.com, LOWCARB. Don't forget there's only one, but what a store it is. Delights of West Boca, your official Atkins Retail Center.
You're listening to Neil Rogers, exclusive. QAM.
Neil Rogers.
I'm dying over here. Miami has the Dolphins, they're the worst football team.
Yes.
They club the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. They're on the ground, that's where they'll stay. They're never in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking toilet bowl, 'cause they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins.
You know what? It just dawned on me who we left off the poll.
Who?
Geldy.
Okay.
Let's get down there right away. Geldy.
Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league?
About 30, man.
Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Don't bet on them, you'll always lose. Ow! They don't know how to tackle. They don't know how to block. Their coaches ought to tell them to put Bengay in their jocks. Then they would run much faster, and even in defeat. When we go to the stadium, we'll see Miami Heat, and they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league? 32. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. The team that hasn't got a clue. Miami has the Dolphins, but the Dolphins have no fans. Just 50,000 sitting in the stands. They watch the game and all they do is moan and gripe and bitch. I wonder how Joe Robbie got to be so damn rich. And they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league? 32. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. I hear the crowd begin to boo. The Dolphins have Jay Fiedler. That quarterback's a Jew. Run down the field and he will throw a pass over you. He'll never win a Super Bowl. You shouldn't be surprised. When he gets cut, that doesn't mean that he was circumcised. And they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. How many teams in the league? 32. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Jay calls his signals in Hebrew. The Dolphins have no defense and their offense is a joke. Like George Bush eating pretzels, you know they're gonna choke. They'll always disappoint you when they're in a playoff race, with fewer points than pockmarks on Huizinga's ugly face. And they're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins number. Oh, what the hell? 32. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, now they're through.
What, do they suck or what, huh?
Absolutely.
Anyway, the good news is that I did forward that email to Eric, and he got it.
He got it.
He's working on it right now as we speak, and you're going to see a whole bunch of pictures on there on our website that are just going to floor your ass, man. They're just a beautiful thing. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
WQAM, hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear that Dan Rather's been replaced by the Iraqi defense minister?
Yeah, okay, great. WQAM, hello.
This team is out for some kind of vengeance.
We got a shot! CBS's memo becomes a free pass for board. You see, just intersperse a couple of these, man. They are great. Don't want to overdo it with the calls, but we kind of like, a little mix and match, a little slip it in here when people are at least expectorating it. Antonia Zerbisius, who writes a great column in the Toronto Star, no less, writes, CBS's memo becomes a free pass for Bush. She says, way to go, CBS. Thanks to your rush to kick off a new season of 60 Minutes 2 on September 8th with big ratings, your bungling of what the pro-war blogosphere has dubbed Memogate, your hesitation to admit the error of your ways, and your blinkered eye on the bottom line, you carpet-bombed U.S. presidential race with bluster and blather about proportional spacing, nuking what little remains of serious political discourse in the U.S., and making the Kerry Edwards campaign collateral damage. Meanwhile, the Bush-Cheney Jedi mind tricksters, what Consortium.news called them yesterday, laugh again as the media underplay an ever-burgeoning budget deficit, a damaging internal intelligence report warning of an Iraqi civil war, Britain's impending withdrawal of troops from the coalition, another lie by Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld on the state and size of Iraqi security forces, and just about any story that might damage George W. Bush's run for re-election. Does nothing stick to this guy who has yet to come clean about his alky Vietnam-evading past? After all, the basics of the CBS story were true, reported 5 years ago by Greg Palast, another real don't-just-play one-on-one TV of reporters. It's easy to imagine what Don Hewitt, the octogenarian executive producer who launched 60 Minutes in 1968 and who helmed it until CBS pushed him out last June, must think of all of this. In 1998, when the network announced that it would extend its profitable franchise to a second night, he complained to me that if Lucille Ball or Jerry Seinfeld, if it had a Lucille Ball or Jerry Seinfeld, it wouldn't be seeking to plug the schedule with a low-cost spin-off. Concerned that the under-resourced second hour would tarnish the reputation of the original, he said, news divisions which used to be charged with finding news are now charged with filling time. As for all news channels, filling time is all they do, which is why for the past 6 weeks or so, TV News has focused so much on side issues such as whether Democratic nominee John Kerry bled red, white, and blue enough during and after his service in Vietnam, or if superscripted letters existed on typewriters in the 1970s. The joke is CBS's biggest critics, including bloggers who now claim victory for killing the MSM, that's mainstream media, still complain that the legacy old media are liberal media, an evil cabal hell-bent on bringing Bush down. So how come, then, if the Democrats have such a huge media advantage, Americans haven't heard much say about Bush's big April flip-flop on attacking Fallujah, or his flip-flop last month on winning the war on terror as they have about Kerry's supposed flip-flop on voting for the attack on Iraq? Fact. U.S. Marine Lieutenant General James T. Conway, the outgoing commander in western Iraq, told reporters on September 12 that he protested what seemed to be a political decision to attack Fallujah last spring, but he followed orders sending the troops in. 3 disastrous days later, with hundreds dead, another decision, apparently originating in the White House, was made to pull out. Conway opposed that too, but to no avail. How much did you hear about all of this in that liberal media fuss over IBM Selectrics? Fact. Last month, Bush told NBC that the war on terror could not be won. Then he clarified himself by saying this was an unconventional, different war, and then his spokesperson, Scott McClellan, clarified the clarification, explaining that while the U.S. couldn't win, it would prevail against terror. How much have you heard about this in the liberal media focus on copies from Kinko's? Fact. In 2002, Kerry voted to authorize the use of force against Saddam, but only, as he said then, to disarm Iraq of weapons of mass destruction if we can't accomplish that objective through new, tough weapons inspections in joint concert with our allies. Ask yourself if you heard that elucidated in this liberal media crush to crucify CBS anchor Dan Rather, who a week after 9/11 got behind Bush on David Letterman's show saying, whenever he wants me and wherever to line up, just tell me where. Now, of course, conservative pundits and their acolytes in the cybersphere are calling for Rather's head because he's destroyed his credibility. Frankly, he did that long ago, even before he told BBC 2 years ago that fear of political reprisal keeps American journalists from asking the toughest of the tough questions, adding, I do not accept myself from this criticism. So thanks, Dan. You fixed it so that even fewer journalists will stick their necks out now. As for credibility, consider that journalists like the New York Times' Judith Miller parroted the lies of the now disgraced Iraqi exile Ahmed Chalabi, who sold them on victory parades with flowers and sweets. The White House and its cyber dupes engineered that con job, but are they apologizing for that? Nah. So thanks, CBS. Thanks for being liberal and all your good investigative work. Now, please don't do us any more favors. That eye is weeping. Why does it weep?
That was great.
It was good. She's great. 20 till 1 at 560 WQAM. Don't forget to join George and Miguel for happy hour 5 to 7 at Treasure Island this afternoon. It's right off the Palmetto, just north of the 122nd Street exit. Stop by to win some marginal prizes, but check out this week's feature, Stephanie Evans and her ping pong shoot. Is she the one with the ping pong balls?
The one. Golf balls, all kinds of things.
I see. And she'll be emitting them from the old shoot. What? When in doubt, shoot a few out. If you're planning on replacing your carpeting because they look like crap now, maybe during the hurricane you had some flooding and some real nasty damage, don't worry about it. Instead of spending tons of money on replacing your carpeting with brand new, just call my good friends at Dry Concepts. Have your carpet, your area rugs, drapery, all of these things professionally cleaned. Because Dry Concepts, who I've been using for over 20 years in my homes, is the best in the world at bringing carpeting back to life, no matter how hopeless it may look right now. These are the only people you ought to trust. They sanitize your home. They have certified trade technicians who know their stuff inside and out. Your carpet, when they get done, your carpets are vibrant in color, soft to the touch, and they're dry and smell lemony fresh in an hour and a half to 2 hours. You can really clean today and entertain tonight. No rip-offs, no scams, none of these per-room deals that the other guys offer you. They give you a written guaranteed, let me say it again, guaranteed price up front before they start the job. So call them today. They'll have everything in your home looking spiffy like brand new in no time at all. Call toll-free 1-800-248-5071. That's 1-800-248-5071. Or on the wicked World Wide Web. It's dryconcepts.com.
The Howard Stern Show. Neil Rogers, mornings and middays. And sports around the clock. 560 WQAM.
Just block your entrance. You won't be able to get out of the house. How's that?
Since it's a shoe-in anyway, they might as well stay home.
In fact, you know what? We got all that plywood hanging over from Ivan that didn't hit southeast Florida. So since we got all that plywood around, we'll just kind of like nail it up over there, all their exits until the polls close. How's that? 567-0560, pound 560 on the Verizon and Singular wireless lines. WQAM, hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes?
I have a name for your list. What about Scott Farrell?
You want to put Scott Farrell on there or not? No. He didn't get screwed over. He screwed us over. See, the problem with a lot of the people in the audience is they think they know something. That's what makes them dangerous. They think they know something. No, he didn't get screwed over. He screwed us over big time. I mean, talk about a loose cannon. WQAM, hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Come on, you know damn well Democrats encourage welfare. And if you're going to
Yeah, that's why Clinton did away with it, right. Oh, boy, these people, man, are pretty bright, aren't they? 567-0560, pound 560.
That's the only reason they're Republicans. Democrats encourage welfare. That's it. That's all they know.
Right. Maybe he was just being cute. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he was boring. WQAM, hello.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, Neil. OIL.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
how did your poll go yesterday? I didn't catch your show about the gambling.
What was the poll yesterday? Oh,
gambling poll.
Almost 80% said yes. They're all in favor of it.
And you do know that if the slot machine amendment passes, the Indians will get full gaming.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, and you touched on that a little bit.
Well, what's wrong with that? That's great. That'll
that's great.
It'll make it like a living and breathing place. That's what we want, eh?
Yeah, well, I got to go get in the line of Sadie's right now, so I'm going to
Okay, we'll stand on line, baby. Oi. Yeah, you know, the problem with South Florida is that you old farts have owned it for long enough, okay? Although, quite frankly, it was another generation of old farts, most of whom are pushing up daisies right now. But they controlled it long enough. It's our time, Sonny. Well, it's too beautiful, and it's too nice in the beach, and the sun, and the water, all the other things, and the mosquitoes. They shouldn't be owned by a bunch of old farts who are getting ready to croak, okay? It's time for the living and breathing people to move in. Busloads, truckloads, buttloads of living and breathing people. How's that sound? Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, we'll take it.
Let me know when it starts.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
There's Scott Farrell. And when I'm up in Boca Chica slapping old women with painted lips around the pool,
I listen to the Neil Rogers 1 to 2 hour.
I listen to the Neil Rogers Fair and Balanced 1 to 2 hour.
Hey, Farrell.
What?
By the way, son, I've been giving it some thought, see? What do you think of this? I knows that me and you can do much better going 6 to 10 and not at 5, a Gentile and a cranky Jew. I think we might be happy together.
I think you really gone out of your mind. You gotta have your wee-wee bag strapped on too tight. No chance I'll do a show with you. I'd rather die. We'd be crappy together.
Why, I'll have you know that I'm a big Bucky Jew from Brooklyn Heights. I've been rated by everybody but you. You're not my type.
Me and Mo, that would blow. No way that if we had a fight, that you'd survive. Who'd wanna hear a genitile and pushy tight? That's crappy together.
A show with you and me, for me, is much better 6 than 10, not 5. It's only right that I should get more sleep at night. I think we might be happy together. Happy together.
What do you mean that?
I noticed even though Geldy's on there now, he's got the big no votes. How could you screw him over because he didn't belong on here in the first place? But nevertheless, he's still on payroll.
Right.
Wow, we got a whole bunch of people
About 30, man.
on the QM payroll who aren't doing anything for us, who just taking a check. And I salute them. My hat's off to them, okay? It's just the way it goes. 103 at 560 WQM. Mad Dog, who ain't working for Channel 10 no mo, who's going to drink whatever the hell beer he wants to drink. He's going to be drinking his Heineken, whether they like it or not. He'll be along at 2. And then we got Mo Howard Davided. Maybe one of his very final appearances on that show. Well, they can always shovel him onto Saturday, right?
Okay, that's something.
Do a little fill-ins. Oh, and of course, Geldy, don't forget about him. He's doing those Panther games. Right. I think it is so appropriate that the NHL went out with the lockout, and there's no Panther season, at least not until at least January, and I really doubt then. While Geldy is broadcasting those games. Well, he can sit around like in a phone booth and practice, you know? He can, just practice for the games. Here's a bad story from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I don't think there are any good stories from Fort Wayne. The only good thing ever happened in Fort Wayne, speaking of hockey, was the Fort Wayne Comets on WOWO. Whoa. Which was, what was that, 1190 on the dial?
That's one of those rhetorical questions.
It was right next to 1180, which was WHAM in Rochester, a very, very boring station, by the way, all my life. WHAM, 50,000 watts of boredom. And 1190, I'm pretty sure, was WOWO. You never heard WOWO?
Sorry, no.
Why? You lived up north once upon a time.
Ohio?
No, WOWO is Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Sorry, just pass through on a bus.
No, but you don't understand. You could pick it up at night all over the country, man. 50,000 watts back in the day. Well, anyway. A retired zoo director died after he was stung about 1,000 times by European yellow jackets, not to be confused with the Columbus blue jackets. European yellow jackets when he fell onto their nest from a ladder while cleaning windows at his home. God, I hate when that happens. Earl Wells, 75, had been in a coma at Lutheran Hospital since September 12th attack near Huttertown, about 10 miles north of Fort Wayne. He died yesterday at the hospital. Wells was the director of the Fort Wayne Children's Zoo from its opening in 65 until his retirement in 94. European yellow jackets swarmed Wells when the stepladder he was standing on to wash windows collapsed onto their underground nest. Man. He was unconscious, kind of like the brainstem, when paramedics arrived. He suffered cardiac arrest and the attack remained in a coma after being resuscitated. And guess what? After all of this sorrow and grief,
he died.
That's it. You guessed it. Won't see him no more in Fort Wayne or any other place. Can't believe you never heard WOWO.
Sorry.
Whoa.
I was listening to C-Fun at night, if I could pick anything up on the bounce.
What the hell is that?
Canadian, Vancouver.
Oh, never heard that, eh? And here's some really amazing news that pleases me because I cannot stand either one of their products. Interstate Bakeries, maker of Wonder Bread and Twinkies, filed for bankruptcy court protection early today. Oh, what great news. There is a God.
Oh, God.
The company, which operates 57 bakeries throughout the United States and employs more than 33,000 people, listed assets of $1.6 billion and liabilities of $1.3 billion. It filed under Chapter 11 of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code and indicating it intends to continue its operations, poisoning the public. The company's been hit by both accounting problems and a drop in sales that attributed to the popularity of those evil low-carb diets. Last month, it missed an extended deadline for filing a 10-K report with the SEC detailing its fiscal year financial results for the period ending May 29. It goes on to detail how much they lost and how much they did and how many people they're poisoning with that Wonder Bread that ruins bodies 7 or 8 different ways. What is it, 8 ways, 7 ways?
Every way.
Huh? No, that's been their slogan for 100 years. Wonder Bread builds
build
strong bodies
better
8 million ways. Yeah, well, guess what? White bread will kill you, baby. It's poison. It's nothing but pure bleach, starch, crap. And, of course, Twinkies. Do I need to say anything about Twinkies? No. Stick with our beaded curtain. If you want the Twinkies, just stick with our beaded curtain. We got all the Twinkies you could ever want, including today we got Vanessa L. Williams, not to be confused with any of the other zillions of Vanessa Williamses.
The original Vanessa Williams.
Right. Vanessa L. U.S. intelligence agencies concluded recently that Al-Qaeda, not that we want to get people nervous or anything like that, we frown on that in the show, is moving ahead with plans for a major spectacular attack despite disruptions in some of its operations thanks to recent arrests in Britain and Pakistan. Officials said recent intelligence assessments of the group, which is blamed for the 9/11 attacks, state that an attack is coming and that the danger will remain high until the November 2 elections and last until Inauguration Day on January 20. Al-Qaeda thinks their credibility is on the line because there hasn't been a major attack since 9/11, said one official familiar with the intelligence reports on the group. A second official said there isn't reason to believe that the recent arrests have disrupted their plans. Authorities in Pakistan and Britain recently arrested key Al-Qaeda leaders, but the group uses tight compartmentation of its operations. The process used by intelligence services keeps information about operations within small cells of terrorists to protect secrecy. Thus, details of the possible attack remain murky, but analysts say it is planned to be bigger and deadlier than the 9/11 attacks. Potential targets include the White House, Pentagon, where that mysterious plane struck, U.S. Capitol and congressional buildings, as well as landmarks and business centers in New York, the official said. I guess if you're in Geneva, New York, you're safe. Right?
I guess.
If you're in Ypsilanti, Michigan, probably safe. If you're like in Opelika, probably pretty safe. Sweetwater, no problem.
State of Montana.
Not too many problems there. If you're like in Shelby, Montana, well, you got other problems. Intelligence officials say a key figure in Al-Qaeda's North American operations is Adnan Shukwijuma. Oh, I love that name. Yeah, that's his name, Adnan Shukwijuma, who's being sought by the FBI for the past several years. I wonder if his mother's name is Mama Shukwijuma. Oh, do I have some beautiful lines for that? But I can't say that.
Just walk away.
Right. One official said Shukwijuma recently was seen in Mexico, earlier been in Canada, near a university with a nuclear reactor, leading to concerns he was seeking radioactive material for a radiological bomb.
Oh, my God.
The Mexican newspaper Proceso, quoting Mexican officials, reported earlier this month that Shukwijuma was being sought in northeastern Mexico after being tracked to Sonora in August. Acting CIA Director John McLaughlin, and boy, what a bad act it was, told a Senate hearing last month that Al-Qaeda's ability to keep its operation secret is a strategic weapon. He told the Senate Armed Services Committee that the group compartment secrets down to a handful of people in a cave somewhere. It's very well documented in the 9/11 report how few people knew about that. They use secrecy as a strategic weapon. It's a strategic weapon for them because it asymmetrically works against us because we don't keep secrets very well. Several key arrested Al-Qaeda members were made over the past several months. We know about that. Okay. So they're planning a big one, so they say, because they want to keep you peeing in your pants and terrified. In fact, Josh Beckett, when did he start last for the Marlins? Josh? Was he injured?
No, AJ Burnett's injured. He's fine.
Josh Beckett. He's still in the rotation, right?
He is.
Because in the fourth inning of the last game he started, he mysteriously raced for the dugout right in the middle of the inning and raced into the locker room to the tea rooms. In fact, he told his teammates on the way out he had a pee so bad he could almost taste it. Speaking of that, what? It's a true story. When you got to go, man. Speaking of that, what a segue. I love this segue. Man, when you're hot, you're hot. I wish I could speak today, huh? Maybe it was that ice cream I had yesterday. You know what I had? Do you ever have soy milk ice cream?
I can't say that I have.
It's not bad tasting, but it's pure sugar, and it has no fat, so it goes like See, regular ice cream, for the glycemic index, isn't really that bad. It's not good. Eventually, it'll send your blood sugar soaring, but that takes a while. At least you can go home and lay down and wait to die. But the reason for that is that it has a very high fat content, especially good ice cream like Ben & Jerry's, very high in fat. But the soy milk ice cream doesn't have any fat. It's fat-free. Which, if you're diabetic or you're one of those people who doesn't want to have like a sugar load, a sugar rush, not a good idea. Because, man, it just goes soaring. It's like injecting pure sugar into your veins. The needle, Watson. Something like that. Soda fueling obesity epidemic. Boy, I tell you. And then, of course, we got the Mexican Coke and Passover Coke. It is true that in different parts of the world, even though it comes in the same looking bottles and cans, that Coca-Cola tastes muy diferente. Like in Europe, for example, in Amsterdam, man, they must use that brown water from the canals. Then they don't have to color it. Oh gosh, that stuff gives you are just searching, diving for the magic room all over the city every time you start drinking that Dutch Coke. Oops. So let's do the break, and then we'll come back and analyze these about the Coke problem. Also, the EPA tells us that 13% of airline water is unsafe. So do not be drinking water that they bring like to your table, to your seat. And do not definitely be drinking water out of the tea room, Josh.
You're listening to Neil Rogers on 560 WQAM.
Pictures are up. You are going to pee your pants.
This is CBS.
Your vote's automatically calculated by computers at the GOP. Manipulated this time, don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. The brother governor that's running Florida, no doubt's got another plan to get your vote from this time. Don't let the fascist neocons screw us again. Staffers and clean white faces, a man got to get in. Let us up. We don't fit here. Let us in. Clean white crafty men. Then goes triangle bush, twin short the blue, and Coulter snuffles my loins with gonorrhea.
Absolutely.
The Jews killed Christ. Bush is appointed by God. Round back, like you can see. Right in your doctor, then round, then your vote will get thrown out. Round back, except for a hard vote, drinking closet bags. Well, it won't matter who or what you vote, like it's rigged for Bush too. In a landslide this time, don't let the fascist neocons screw us again.
118, I'll tell you, you might just sit there all day and peruse those pictures, man. What we need is a woman president. Take a look on NeilRogers.com. There are the 4 candidates. You seeing them?
Yeah.
You don't like them?
Oh, no, I like them. I've seen them already.
Well, you are tough. You're
Sorry.
a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, that's me.
You've seen them already in what? What does that mean?
Whatever. They're cute.
I thought they were great.
No, they're bigger issues,
What
with
do
all
you
due
mean by that?
respect. Well, I mean, this guy's an evil Nazi, and, putting his picture on women is fine and funny and everything, but like the song says.
Can we have a chuckle or two here and there now and again? Do it again?
Oh, they're funny. I'm just, Well, the first
Is
one
he
is
sour
the best.
today or what, Josh? What's his story?
Maybe the pizza was bad.
Oh, did you get pizza?
Yeah, we did.
From?
Tony's.
Oh, that's going to be bad because Jeff Cohen called before plugging the pizza lock. Oh, they're not near any, not near each other. We got them from Tony's today, which is great. They have some really fantastic stuff. And the one thing about Tony's is Brad doesn't call us on the air all the time looking for a free plug. For the first time,
this picture's sure great.
For the first time, Americans are getting more of their calories from soft drink. Now, let me give you an example of this. My mother used to drink, she'd have diet soda for me for my once-a-week appearance there for lunch. And she would drink regular soda with sugar in it. And of course, she was fat, as long as I can remember. Mm-hmm. Heavy. Fat. And I'd say, what are you drinking regular stuff?
Oh, I don't like that diet. I don't like the taste.
In those days, that was saccharin, which was poison and nasty.
And look what it did to her, man. Now she's dead. Only made it to 91 because she was drinking all that soda with sugar in it. Azúcar. As Celia Cruz would say. I'm not really sure which one.
I am Celia Cruz and I am dead now, but I remember when I was alive. I will live to the world with the world.
Esa negrita que va caminando, esa negrita tiene su tumbao, y cuando la gente la va mirando, ella baila de lado, bien apretado, apretado, apretado. La negra tiene tumbao. Azúcar, azúcar.
See, I told you I'd get her to say it. For the first time, Americans are getting more of their calories from soft drinks than from milk. Well, what's the big difference with that, boys and girls? Milk will kill you. Milk is bad for you. There is no other animal on the face of the earth besides man that drinks the milk of another animal. You ever stop and think about that?
No.
Well, think about it. Researchers at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill analyzed national beverage consumption patterns for more than 73,000 Americans aged 2 and older. The study discovered that between 1977 and 2001, overall calories from sweetened beverages were up. I was going to go into a thing about breast milk, but I better not. Overall calories from, it's mother's milk. It's the same animal anyway. Okay,
Sure
that's
is.
fine. But drinking cow's milk, what the hell, what up with that? Huh?
They make more than women do.
Overall calories from sweetened beverages were up 135% between 1977 and 2001. Overall, Americans got 38% fewer daily calories from milk, which is a step in the right direction. Americans now get an average of 144 calories a day from sugar-sweetened soft drinks and only 99 calories from milk. And if they were smart, they wouldn't be drinking either one of those. For young people aged 2 to 18, milk fell from 13.2% of total calories to 8.3%, and soda consumption doubled.
Oh, my gosh.
Older Americans drank more soda, like my mother. And now she's dead. Those 40 to 59 increased soft drink intake from 2 to 5%. Among people 60 or older, consumption rose nearly from 1% to 3%. No, it rose nearly 1% up to 3%. Well, they write these things, so no wonder. It's not just my bad reading today. They write these like crap. This is really a comprehensive analysis that left researchers concluding that the obesity epidemic could be curtailed if Americans reduced their intake of sweetened soft drinks and fruit drinks. Well, guess what? I don't drink sweetened soft drinks. I don't drink fruit drinks, and I'm still fat. How do you like that? But this report includes both fruit drinks and soft drinks with added sugar like high fructose corn syrup. There you go. There's the sugar in your soda, man. That high fructose corn syrup that sends your blood sugar skyrocketing. It says part of the problem is that if we decrease our milk intake, our bone growth suffers. Well, guess what? I don't drink milk and haven't for years, and my bone is just fine. Most dairy supplies 75% of calcium in our diet. We need that to build strong bones. Oh, see, this is just like Wonder Bread. Build strong body 8 ways or whatever the hell that lie was. Mm-hmm. It'll kill you. If it's not the Twinkies that'll kill you, it's the frickin' Wonder Bread. White bread is for lunatics, man. It's for goyim. White bread with mayonnaise. And yeah, that's right. White bread with like Spam and mayonnaise.
Better
That's
be putting
strictly
turkey on there too.
For trailer trash, for real goyim. The people that are on the Jerry Springer show eat that. White bread sandwiches were like slices of Velveeta cheese and cold cuts. Yeah, and bologna. Like Oscar Mayer. Ever have Oscar Mayer wieners?
Yeah.
For as famous as they are, they make the worst hot dogs I've ever had in my life.
They're not my favorite, no.
Oh, your favorite? They
I said
suck.
they're not my favorite, no.
Oh, my. I know, but, I mean, how could they even be in a category of anybody's favorite? Anybody. You don't know your wieners if you're eating Oscar Mayer.
I try not to. Hebrew National for me, baby.
Hey, Hebrew National are good. Nathan's are excellent.
Yes, they are.
Like Nathan's?
Skinless.
What's not to like? They're cut. What do Mexican Coke and Passover Coke have in common? The secret is out. The special Coca-Cola produced for Pesach, for Passover, under the auspices of the Orthodox Union, the OU, may actually be the premium Coke. Coca-Cola officials in Atlanta are concerned by a growing demand by U.S. cola connoisseurs for foreign-made Coke, which has real sugar and costs more than the everyday variety made with high fructose corn syrup, the ingredient that's removed for Pesach. What would that be? I'm telling you, these Orthodox Jews, man. Well, Gary Sarner, you just look at him, it'll tell you everything you need to know. Unauthorized distribution networks for the Mexican-made Coke have sprung up to truck the brown fizzy soda across the Rio Grande and around the country. Yeah, it's brown and fizzy. in Minnesota, too. In Fort Worth, it can be found in outlets from Central Market and Fiesta Mart to family-owned taco stand. Don't tell Joyce I said something about it's brown and fizzy.
Boys.
She'll pee her pants when she hears that.
Said taco, too.
She'll be doing the brown apple quick step. The Coca-Cola Company in Atlanta says it wants the trafficking in Mexican Coke stopped. We want the Mexican Coke deal stopped now. Well, I almost started pounding on the table.
Don't do that.
Idea. You notice we've got all the way to almost 1:30 and no technical problem today.
Well, watch it now.
The soft drink industry switched from sugar to a 50-50 blend, fitty-fitty, with high fructose corn syrup in the early 80s, then shifted gradually to just a corn sweetener, said Richard Adamson, the American Beverage Institute's Vice President of Scientific and Technical Affairs. Coca-Cola produces a special version of Coke for Passover, where it replaces the corn syrup with the sugar. The Passover Coke is extremely popular with Jews who observe Passover, and even with some non-Jews who are allergic to corn. In other words, they can't listen to Defoe.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
A bitch.
Absolutely.
She's oily, soily, and old. Looks like the Quaker Oats guy. Smells from the body roll mold. Aubrey Bush has body down and eyes full of her ice popped out. It happened when she realized she raised for criminal clowns. Barbara Bush has body down and eyes. And she's nasty, old and crafty, and she raised for place and taxi. She's atrocious and takes umbrage to anyone who says they want no voice. Walks like she's carrying a bowling ball between her thighs and has money down and eyes. She doesn't mean to talk as if she's always surprised. She's wiggle when she talks. Barbara Bush has money down and eyes. She gave us George Bush and Jeb Bush, not to mention Bill and Robin Bush. He'll be rich and fat and smells just like the magic sauce on a Big Mac. Barbara Bush resembles Ernest Borgnine on a bad day with Marty Bell and I.
132 at 560, WQAM Mad Dog at 2, who's fired up and pissed off these days, and rightfully so. And then we got Mo Howard David, who's hopefully in his remaining afternoons. Anyway, this thing you just faxed me from Fred Goomba in Naples, you're wrong, Fred. He says, not for reading on the air, but for your enjoyment. You are absolutely incorrect, sir, because this is right
Best
up my
story we've
alley.
had in a week.
Oh, I love this, because I've been bitching about this for years, and I thought it was only yours truly. I thought it was just a few of us purists out there. It's from the New York Times from a couple of days ago by Stacey Alban. The headline says, you say prosciutto, I say prosciutto, and purists cringe. Yeah, prosciutto. Ann Gustafson can discuss food, especially Italian food. She spent many days in the Bronx with her Sicilian grandmother, Sebastiana Sarolo, learning how to cook with mozzarella. Only Mrs. Gustafson did not call it mozzarella. She said mozzarella. Wrong? Not to many New Yorkers or New Jerseyans, not to some vendors at the annual Feast of San Gennaro in Little Italy this week, but it makes Italian teachers, the purists who love the language just as Dante wrote it, wince. And the rest of us as well. We aren't into that Guido thing, man. Most of the Guidos need a big vowel movement. They suffer prosciutto, prosciutto, calzone, calzone becoming calzone, and pasta fagioli becoming pasta fagioli. Pasta fagioli. Outside a butcher shop in Bochum Hill, Brooklyn recently, Mrs. Gustafson said that her language lessons were conducted at the kitchen table. Everything I know about Italian food is, is food-centric, she said, adding that her grandmother was not educated, couldn't spell the words as she wrote down her recipes, which ended up half in Italian, half in English. Neither Grandma nor anyone in her neighborhood, the Morris Park section of the Bronx, which had a large enclave of Italian immigrants, ever challenged Mrs. Gustafson's pronunciation, and neither did the Italian butcher who pronounced his final vowels. The Italians, they don't correct, Mrs. Gustafson, 34, said. They're not like the French who will correct you. That's because the French are rude and obnoxious and pigs. Stefano Albertini, who is the director of New York University's Italian Cultural Center, agreed. Generally speaking, Italians are rather grateful to anyone who speaks Italian. They think Italian comes in so many varieties and accents. In fact, in some parts of Italy, the dropping of the final vowels is common. For example, and this is just my comment, in Rome, if you want to say thank you, you say grazie. But in northern Italy, like in Milano, grazie. They just drop the vowel movement. Yeah, grazie. Grazie. Rhymes with stugats. Restaurant goers and food shoppers in the U.S. ended up imitating southern and northern dialects where speakers often do not speak their endings, Professor Albertini said. No relation to Mr. Martini from Cuckoo's Nest. Liliana Ducey, who I don't think I can say her last name again, a retired New York district director for the Berlitz Language School, said many first and second generation Italianos whose ancestors immigrated to the U.S. before World War I, were informally taught Italian expressions and the names of food, some of which has ended up part of everyday language in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. And Gregory Pell, an assistant professor at Hofstra who teaches Italian, said that because of the way double consonants were spoken, such as the double T in manicotti, Americans might not clearly hear the last E sound. When New Yorkers drop their endings, he said it's become a new word in its own version, manicotti. Professor Albertini, speaking from an educated native Italian's perspective, said it makes us cringe sometimes in the beginning, but we get used to it. Ms. Ducey said she did hear some lovely Italian spoken in New York, which she attributed to widespread use of computerized language lessons and an emphasis on education. American universities teach the standardized version, which is based on 13th century Florentine vernacular and pronunciations. So all you idiots out there, you Guidos, if you want people laughing at you and saying, oh my God, what a Guido, don't be saying prosciutto and manicotti and all that other New Yorkese, okay, because that has nothing to do with Italiano. People who say that, exactly. Now, I think we ought to take another call or two before, because this seems to be getting away from us here today. And I can't believe that you don't love them pictures. I think you must have
I like them. They're funny.
bad batch of grits or something this morning. What?
They're not new to me, you see, when they were
but
new.
But they're new to me, so if you've seen them already, it's no big deal, but I ain't seen none of them yet. Including Dawn Cheney, man. She is lovely. And Joanna Carey. Wow, what a size on that bitch.
Yeah.
Woo! Heavy duty. Hey, listen, we need a little bit of levity. Yeah, let's take a couple of calls. They're always uptight and out of sight. WQAM, hello.
Hey, Neil, how are you?
Pretty good.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to go ahead and dispute a New York Times article on Italian, but like you said, in the northern Italy, they speak a lot different than central Italy. Rome.
Absolutely, that is correct.
And southern Italy, it's the same thing. My family's all from southern Italy. I listen from New York, and it's very few of those vowels are pronounced. I mean, some words are, but a lot of words are not. It's not wrong or right. In fact, when my mother went back to Italy last year for the first time in 30-something years, she's from southern Italy in Avellino, and she went to Rome for a couple of days, the first time ever being in Rome, and she was speaking Italian, and they were looking at her like she was a peasant, because it's almost like the peasant form of the language, so sometimes it definitely changes. But then
I'm going to tell you right now, Rome is the greatest city in the world. There's no contest. The greatest city in the world.
I'm going next August, and then I'm making my plans to move to southern Italy after that, because win, lose, or draw the election, I got to go somewhere anyway. So Italy sounds like the way to go. And got the family, got the food, and dolce vita, you know.
Outstanding.
See you, Neil.
Arrivederci, amico mio. See, it's interesting. You can mix like the Spanish and the Italian. There's so many words that are so similar. No? El amico mio.
Right. Same
thing. Anyway. But Rome is fantastic. And see, one thing about northern Italy, they can pronounce it any way they want, but the food there is not even in the same league as it is like in central and southern Italy. Not in the same league. And it's all different. For example, in southern Italy, they cook with olive oil. Olio oliva. Che pane. And in northern Italy, they use butter. Okay, you're starting to get the drift of that? In southern Italy, the big staple is pasta, as you well know. In northern Italy, it's more riso. Risotto, rice. They cook with rice. And you know what happens when you eat a lot of rice, you know?
No, what? You get fat?
Bound up real bad. Oh, no, seriously. Have you ever had risotto?
I'm sure I have.
Don't. It sucks. In fact, even what's that stuff? Rice-A-Roni out of a box is better than risotto. It's awful. I don't know what it is, because, I mean, I like rice just fine. I don't eat it very often because it's all carbs and it's not, you know, if I'm going to eat something like that, I'd rather have pasta because it's delicious because you put a lot of good stuff on it. But risotto is just crap. Awful. So I'm just telling you, when you go to Italy, when you start making your tour of the world after this gig is done in about 5 months, I would definitely hit Rome first and Florence.
Aye.
And then you go to Venice and see if you're going to drown or not. I've never been in Venice, and everybody says, "Oh, why not?" I don't want to that old thing, think or swim, think or swim. I don't want to have to go in a boat to everywhere I want to go. And they say the canals stink like crap.
That's what I've heard.
Canals in Amsterdam, they don't really stink like crap, but boy, they sure look like it. Man, even Joyce I bet you she wouldn't even look at the canals there because they're so brown. She'd start conjuring up all sorts of grotesque things, being the pervert that she is, man. Can you imagine? Can you even imagine what her real life is like behind closed doors?
I don't want to.
Oh, man. You can't even begin to imagine the kind of crap that she's got in her broom closet. Starting with the old broom. Anyway, here's the poll so far. Speaking of that, who's gotten screwed worse at WQAM? 752 votes. Pretty hefty response today, which I thought. I predicted it. Neil's listeners, 214. Well, we do the best we can. Hank Goldberg, 179, who may be coming back one of these days soon. We hope. Joe Rose, 97. Joe and Mark, 70. Bill's in for 66. Jeff DeForest, the corn expert, 47. Jorge Rodriguez, 28. And by the way, I've decided to terminate Jorge Rodriguez. Neil Rogers, 22. Joe Angel, 14. Mo Howard David at 13. Joe Zagacki, 5. Geldy Geldstein voted 3 times. And that's because he ain't got much else to do. And Miguel Escobar's got 3.
The Howard Stern Show. Neil Rogers, mornings and middays. And sports around the clock. 560 WQAM. Wow. His reality show is kicking butt on TV.
Rectum.
But his casinos have gone into bankruptcy. And all his debts he just cannot pay. And you can bet he won't be spending as much on hairspray. Oh, can't you see him standing there wondering what happened to all his wealth? At least he still has his health. He'll have to fire himself. It's bad news for Trump. Feels like a jump. He might even jump from a tower called Trump. Yeah, he's taking his lumps for Donald Trump. He might as well jump.
And you talk about overblown right there. Here's another one. Classic example. Big, gigantic pile of crap. A lot of money, but still a big pile of crap. And that's why TV's got to make a big deal out of him, you know?
Maybe not as much money as he likes to say he has, too.
Yeah, is that it? I just am totally nonplussed by him. He doesn't impress me. Not that he would care, but I'm just expressing myself. You know?
He makes an impression on me.
Yeah, you want to cute. Oh, speaking of that, the EPA says 13% of airline water is unsafe. A lot of sounds this half hour, Joyce. I don't think that the corporate moguls over there are going to be too happy about that. Too many, guttural sounds, puking and belching and farting, and, well, no farting yet. We're bringing the farts back, Joyce. If you don't like it, too farting bad. Anyway, nearly 1 of every 8 passenger airlines tested by the EPA carried drinking water that fails agency standards because it contains coliform bacteria, the agency finally admitted this week. EPA Enforcement Chief Tom Skinner, no relation to Bob Skinner, used to play for those Pittsburgh Pirates back when Bob Prince was calling the games and got the people at Iron City Beer all pissed off because they were sitting up in the booth and getting loud and obnoxious during the game, and he bitched them out, and he got canned at KDKA. At any rate, EPA Enforcement Chief Tom Skinner, no relation to Bob Skinner, said passengers whose immune systems are compromised may want to avoid drinking water from airplane galleys or lavatories, although he noted that test results are only preliminary. Of the planes checked, 20 tested positive for total coliform bacteria, which could signal the presence of other harmful bacteria. 2 planes tested positive for E. coli bacteria.
Oh, my God.
Which in a severe form can cause gastrointestinal illness. And we give you some sounds of what that is like, but Joyce will get really bent out of shape. This is something that needs further analyzation, but also immediate action, Skinner said, adding that the EPA will begin further testing in a few weeks. Air Transport Association spokesman Doug Wills said the airlines are confident their drinking water is safe, saying no one has gotten sick from airline drinking water. Well, how does he know that? How can he make a statement like that?
Watch him.
In the United States, 90% of municipal drinking water systems meet EPA standards. The agency's testing showed airline water was only slightly worse. 87.4% of the planes tested had water that met EPA standards. Now, do you drink the water out of your tap at your home?
Through a filter. We have
Through a filter.
thing.
Would you drink it right out of the tap?
No, but however, I should add.
Then why should you drink it right out of the tap on an airplane or out of their
Of course
toilet?
not. Right.
Out
Even
of the
though
faucet in
Hollywood
the toilet,
water
man.
is a award-winning water.
I beg your pardon?
Hollywood water.
Oh.
It's good.
Well, you drink it. No, but seriously, the fact of the matter is that on a plane, if they have the little cart, the trolley they take up and down the aisles.
Whenever you
will
store
you
water
listen to me? Will you listen to me? And when you drink the water, they're pouring it out of a bottle. It's bottled water.
Right.
It's agua minerale, con gas. Oh, I can't make those sounds again.
Or sin gas.
Yeah, con gas, sin gas, casata. Isabel de Casada. Don't get me started on that stuff again, okay?
Increíble.
Look at that. We've got a battle on the poll. Who's gotten screwed worse, the QM? Neil's listeners, 221, and the Humper is close on our ass with 183.
You're listening to Neil Rogers exclusively on 560 QAM.
Suck it in and hold it.
Now in concert, it's John Kerry.
John Kerry.
I believe. John Kerry, coming soon to a town near you.
Help. I need somebody.
Help.
Just anybody.
Help.
I need someone.
Help. Young Americans. Right. Young Americans. John Kerry sings the classic hits. John Kerry. Young Americans.
Got a baseball game or something?
What is it?
Is there a baseball game I don't know about?
We'll do that one tomorrow about 11:30.
All right.
Are you optimistic about the way that things are going? So I never think of it all. Don't you ever worry when you see what's going down. Well, about my business, that is don't suggest at all. When it's time to function as a feeling human being, with your bachelor.
Oh, we're fine.
Abu Dhabi.
Hey,